No escaping me, bud.
Right. Welcome back to Bar Talk. Today I'm joined with my guest, Shaun Parfitt. Shaun's a great voice for men's mental health. I'll let him introduce his charity and stuff and things like that, so I don't make a complete mess of it. So Shaun, over to you. Let's hear a little bit about the men's mental health charity.
Yeah, so the organisation's called Let's Talk Men's Mental Health. We've been running 6.5 years now, a year and a half about. And as you know, being in the valleys, I'm not saying we experience loss any worse than anybody else, but I feel like any community, when somebody's lost, it sends large ripples through. You could be in school with somebody that you never speak to, but yet you hear something's happened to them, and it still affects you.
Yeah.
So there was a period in 2018 where we seemed to have lost a lot of boys, and I never necessarily knew the boys very well myself, but it's still that thing of like, my sister was quite close with one, and other friends knew them, and that's bad enough. You still got to think of families. So originally I started with two guys, Michael Miles and Gareth Morris, started a private group on Facebook, just getting men talking. And unfortunately there was not maybe necessarily a public backlash of it. Nobody really say it to your face, but you hear rumblings of yeah, somebody said this or something. It's like with anything, you start anything, there's always going to be somebody that don't like it.
Yeah.
But we had a really positive response to it immediately, and from the people accessing us, and it was all out of lived experience essentially. We weren't trained in any way. In hindsight, probably wouldn't recommend it. Probably recommend learning what to do first.
Yeah.
But you learn on your feet, and then you find out the hard way. These things we never caused any problems to our knowledge, and it's just steamroll from there. We've incorporated as a community interest company, so we're not for profit, even though it's not necessarily registered as a charity. Pretty much all our profits go back into the community, trying to help food banks and little things like that. And it's not something we often do publicly, because again, it's nobody. You're not doing it for the reason of getting publicity for it, but we try to help out where we can.
And especially now, with social media and everything around, you tend to see a lot of pages doing stuff charity-wise for likes and shares, and they get a lot of backlash off it as well sometimes. So even though you want to kind of get the fact out there of, we are helping people, I want you to help people too, kind of thing, at the same time, you're going to have negative backlash from posting it and letting people know that you are helping people as well.
I think it's this, what I think it might be alluded to, it's a sign of the times, isn't it? It's like this influencer world we're living in, when everyone is I think there's this thing of people wanting to genuinely make a difference, and then there's the people that want to be seen to be making a difference, and it's not always easy to decipher, and it's not really anyone's job to decide that other than the people who are doing it. You got to do it out of the goodness of your own heart. Yeah. And also, it's not for everyone, and if you don't feel like you can give up time and volunteer or do this area, that's fine. It's not for everybody to do. If anything, I'd respect somebody more for saying, do you know what, I haven't got time for that, but I'm not going to kick you for doing it. But then, like you said, it's other people then who just sort of want the pats on the back, or they're in it because somewhere along the lines there's money. Yeah. And most people tell you in volunteering or in third sector, there's no money. And there's not really. But the problem is, where there is money, people can get access to it, and then, things can happen, and it can be sort of attractive to some people, isn't it? But then when they get into that area and realise, the money's not as accessible as you think. It's red taped a lot of times, and it so should be. And that's another reason why we don't really and maybe to detriment, don't boast about what we do much, because we're also thinking about the other side of the coin, is the people that you're helping might not want to be paraded about. And it's
the same when they go over to homeless people and they got the camera in their face, and sometimes you got to put your shoe on the other foot. Yeah, you are helping them, but do they want you to see them at their lowest point all over social media? I mean, they're feeling that the lowest they can be when they sat on the floor having to beg for money, and then you're coming over with a camera in their face, showing the world, look at this guy, do you know what I mean? Yeah,
and you think about, what are you getting out of that transaction? I worked in Merthyr with the homeless hostels 2-3 years ago, and it was some of the most challenging but rewarding work I'd done, because I suppose you just speak to people. Like I said, you just speak to people who the people. You don't speak to people different because they wear a suit or they wear in the same clothes for the last 3 weeks. A lot of people who they see on the street that are in those places is because of bad mental health, or because of unfortunate childhood experiences that have led them down that path. And I always think that could be any one of us. It could be any single person.
Yeah.
Other people say, oh, you're like X amount of paychecks away from home.
Yeah,
you don't want to find
exactly,
yourself in that
yeah.
position. Like, it's not nice. Like,
It's the way the economy and stuff has gone now at the minute. There's more families out there who are one disaster, so to speak. Your car breaking completely and you can't go to work. They're one disaster like that away from being homeless themselves.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more than what people realise. It's not like most people now are living paycheck to paycheck.
yeah. And think about, like, and I think it's become this branded term of cost of living.
Yeah.
When you break that down, the way to think about the cost of living, just being alive, is costing us so much. Like,
The cost of fucking tax, it is. yeah, all your money's getting taken off you before you even get to put the cost of living.
yeah, and then you go, like, you know, you got kids, I got kids, you go somewhere with them, and sometimes it's not about saying no because of financial. It's sometimes you've got to, like, instill a bit of, like,
Moral sometimes.
you can't always just have it because you can do it. Like, I'm fortunate now. I'm in a job where I'm being paid well enough to do my job, and my partner works long hours as well. You know, we're in an okay place, but that could go away overnight. Like, one of us could be ill. Like, one of us, anything could happen overnight and completely change the dynamic. And I think you've got to be realistic about that. That, you know, we still get this class war inside of classes.
Yeah.
The working class looking down on other working class. You're like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I think about, like, people who got to access food banks and things. You know what I mean? You always get people that go there trying to chance their arm.
Yeah.
But then imagine the people who are going there and that's like, it's taking every last ounce of their pride to say, I need help.
Yeah.
And they're knowing that they're doing, like, a full week's worth of work. Their partner's working full time. The kids are in school, and then they've got to scrape together for food. You know, we shouldn't be in that society in this day and age, 2024. Like
a couple of years ago, I started it was for the 6 weeks holidays, I think it was. I can't remember now, but I started the food bank, little food bank on my own. I had like 3 different places where they could collected from everyone I could. And I got called into a meeting by the council. Some lady on the council wanted to call this meeting for a food bank further down. And she sat me on a table and she questioned me, why are you doing a food bank? And I was like, it caught me off guard, to be honest, because she said, oh, it's just a meeting. I thought we was going to all connect together and help each other, right? And this lady sat across me. I know you were getting paid for your job, my love. Don't come in having a go at me, asking me questions where I've started. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we was sat there and she was just like, question, you can't do this, you can't do that, we run this part, we do that part. And I was like, are you about helping people or is it a competition? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? We should be trying to help as many people as we can to feed as many families as we can. Because the only reason I done it was because I was working with a sorry, I don't want to go too much into it just because people know. Do you know what I mean? It's not very nice for them. And they were denied. I think they have changed it now, but he was denied the food bank because he was working. Right. So that's what I done it for. I done it more for working class. Do you know what I mean? Not the working people, not so much people on benefits. And the 3 places that I had the food things to, they were very discreet. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have to announce that they were coming or anything. You could just turn up, grab a bag and go. And she was like, that's what, I'm going off subject a bit, that's what she said to me. People are going to take advantage of you. I said, well, if we get 1 person out of 10 who takes advantage, then we're still winning.
And who are we to decide?
I know,
That's
exactly,
And I know, like, kind of where they're coming from as well. Like, you know, not to play devil's advocate, but I know, like, what they're saying. But there's ways that you have those conversations. And going on the attack on the front foot is never going to... You're going to get your back up regardless. Even if you left, you're thinking, oh, do you know, she had my best interest at heart. But then... You've had to go away and think about that. It's in the moment, you're not thinking that, you know. And
it was just a tack as soon as I sat down. It caught me off guard. I didn't really have much to say because it caught me completely off guard. I was just looking at it like, I can't believe
where's this come from?
You know what I mean? I thought we was having a nice, general, nice conversation, but
But like, and it could have been that you changed ways of doing things. Maybe then they become that you were supporting them or they were supporting you to do things your way. But, you know... Try and have those safeguarding things in place where you're not being taken advantage of. But it's going to happen regardless. But, you know, I always say lead with compassion. Whatever you're doing, lead with compassion, but there also needs to be common sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And they could need to look at it as, like I said, it's not a competition. We're all trying to help people.
Yeah.
And if it's means tested and you just fall out of that category, it doesn't always mean that you're well off. It just means that you mean you could be like a couple of quid over the threshold. What's a couple of quid going to get you? You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's where the line, like you said, who are we to decide?
Yeah.
People got bills that have come from, like, you know, people in the family dying or something. No, unexpected bills that they've just been hit with, and someone's died suddenly, and now they got the bills of their house or or debt that they've left, and it's come to them and stuff. We can't decide really who should have, who can't afford food, and who can.
And like, what about if you'd gone in, say, I don't know, today, and they said you don't meet the criteria for whatever reason, and then, like I said, I'm not 100% up on how the food banks work now.
Yeah.
And maybe different ones do different things. You know, there's pantries as well.
Yeah.
But imagine we went through like whatever it is, a means tested thing, right, system. And then they say, oh, look, you know, you don't qualify for this, that, or the other, whether it's food bank or something else. I don't want to keep bashing them, like, but you know, that's just there's other things. It could be like some form of benefit that you could be topping up your money or something, but you just fall out of the thing. But then, knowing how rough everything is right now, imagine your mortgage doubles in price because of the interest rates.
Yeah, well, they are really, innit? Because like my mortgage now was a 2-year fixed, so when it's coming up now, I'm dreading. I don't even want to find out.
Mine's
really.
coming up now, this time next year, and it's that thing of like, oh, where are we going to be this time next year?
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, gee, I was like, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
And I'm already looking at it like, and I'm not, like I said, I was in my position of going, we're okay right now. It isn't going to be okay next year. So I already see the tide changing.
Yeah.
And it's being, but again, it's alright for me to say that we're in healthy, you know, my mind's in order and straight. You know, my missus is switched on with everything. You know, she's level-headed. She's very sensible. We've got a good family network, especially like with her dad. He's like fucking Superman. Like, so you know, whenever we need something, we're lucky we got him. But then it's that thing of, you know, he's there great for being in person. But when you're looking at bills coming in, it's a different thing. But it's then knowing that like, if you needed to speak to someone, there's people there you can just like offload to, even though they're not going to be able to fix the issue for you. Like, but seeing a year ahead, some people haven't got that insight, knowledge, or even, I don't know, maybe they haven't been brought up with that.
It all boils down to, I don't want to go too much into it because I will go on a rabbit hole. But like, school should be teaching all this.
Yeah.
When you come out to school, who cares about the pie of this number or whatever it is? Teach me how to pay my bills, how to manage my money, how to, you know, how much tax I should be paying if I become my own boss. And where's all that in school? Like, it's
exactly. And then you think about, and I'm looking at this from an example of people that I know. A lot of the, don't want to stereotype, but lads in particular that I know.
I don't want to stereotype, but it is men. It is
lads, and I'll just lean on the men's mental health thing. I got more interaction with them. But like, I think about some of the boys in school that, like, you know, you look at some of them that actually I could probably pinpoint a couple of the girls in school as well that have gone on to like run their own business, but they were more of the ones that were like on the fringes of the education system. They were maybe and smart. Like, I'm not saying they were dull at any stretch of imagination, but like maybe they like a bit more of the mischief and stuff. And I think that's to do with they had probably a busy mind to probably be like labelled with ADHD or something now, but I think that they probably were like so distracted, maybe if it was that, that they were obviously thinking about other things, doing other things. There's more interest in, I can't be arsed with doing this maths thing, I'd rather do this. So then, you know, they end up finding themselves on the outskirts of lessons and whatnot. And then they go out and end up running their own businesses and they've got to figure it all out on their own. And you think about how many people probably started and failed businesses because they've had no experience or teaching how to do it, where they could have been probably better educated on how to do that properly, like file your taxes properly. Even like, how many people know how to open a bank account without their parents?
There's not.
I know they can do it online, I suppose.
Now it's all online, isn't it? But
they would never know how to walk into a branch and start that conversation, or like when they would need to speak to a bank manager. I suppose there's not many banks left to walk into now, mind.
There's not. They'd all die in. It's a dying thing now, isn't it? Because it's all online and they want to go cashless. So it's they just trying to get rid of all the banks. My nearest one now is they shut the one in Caerphilly. My nearest one's Cardiff. It's a long distance from here, especially if it's elderly, can't drive.
Yeah, so just thinking,
I mean, it's a long journey down to a bank to if you aren't going to find, no, not all elderly people got family around to show them how to do everything on the internet.
But you just imagine, you jump on a bus, you go to Cardiff, they've asked you for some form of ID, shit I've left in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
You imagine an older person, they're all probably very anxious and worrying about having to take the journey down there. And like for a lot of, I suppose especially the older folk in the valleys, going to somewhere like Cardiff can be really intimidating because we come from these such tight communities. You go there and everything's so open and big, there's so many people, like, it can be quite intimidating for some people. And then you've got to find your bank, realise you haven't got what you need, go back home. Like.
How did you find out, like you said, you didn't really know much about starting all up. How was it when you was starting up men's mental health?
So like,
let's talk men's.
In a way, I was kind of fortunate because the guy who set it up originally is really, like, again, business minded. He's very much okay with all of that type of stuff. And even though logic in this, I think we incorporated as a community interest company, like right at the early days of the pandemic, like being locked down. It was like people got time to themselves. I know, let's incorporate now when everything, when everything's on hold. Like, But when we first started, it was very much like we started some peer support sessions in Aberdeen. It was challenging because we didn't know where the line was to be drawn when people are bringing stuff up, because we always led with like, don't pressure anyone to speak. You're not going to judge anyone for anything they say, but we be realistic. Like, we're not going to allow anyone to like say anything completely outlandish or like, I've committed a crime but you can't tell anyone. We make it clear, like, we can and we will. Like, you're not going to just drop a crime on us here. Like, I'm not a snitch, but I mean, like, in this environment, like, I'm going to have to say something. There's a lot of witnesses here, like, and now I'm one of them. But luckily, nothing ever like that came up. But when you sat in a room and someone starts talking and you're like, oh no, he's going to say something now. He's coming out, like, and you start panicking and you're like, and then you realise then, I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. And then, like, the conversation dies down, you're like, whew, that was close. And then it starts picking up again. You're like, no, take it back. And they drop, like, people like have PTSD and they tell about visions they see and tell about childhood experiences and things they've been through. And it's awkward sometimes if you know someone and then you start realising who they're talking about, and it can be really challenging because you've got to separate now the person who you are and then that you're supporting them. So that was a steep, like, learning curve. But in all fairness, I got an opportunity to work for Cwmtaf and Galwg Mind, and I did, like, they put me through like tons of training, like loads of training, probably more to the benefit of like they needed to make sure that I was some sense, never mind that I needed it, like and literally if a course came up I was on it in no time, like, so they really like helped me. And then it was learning in the field, and like I said, working with people who would like found themselves in hostels or on the streets, and basically having them educate me rather than pretend I knew what I was doing. And then that helped with all the Let's Talk stuff then, because they were completely separate. But the more you work with people and deal with people, you learn more about yourself. And then you start realising then, even though I'm very open to people, I'm very like, I'm not going to judge anyone necessarily, but you realise there are some like prejudices you're educated with over time through like family's way of speaking or things or way like society speaks, and you catch yourself thinking something and you go, oh, that's not really very positive, that's not a very nice thing to think, like. So there's a lot of education for me, like, through it. And then before we knew it, we were like paying for guys to go through counselling, like. So
that you can send people to go counselling through yourselves?
We could originally, for a while we were doing that. The funding we had unfortunately run out, and then like we had Mike have moved on, he started his own business now, so he's like, it's a lot of time setting up your own business, isn't it, so he's moved on. A couple of other people have moved around, so it's been like me and then the guy who does our merch for us, and now he's coming on board to help out a bit more because he's like business savvy, great with like artwork and stuff like that. His partners like helping us do rebranding and stuff as well. So it's like meeting people and learning new things. That's great. Got a couple of boys helping to facilitate groups for us now instead of me just solely running everything now. But with the counselling, like we had like a bulk of money to do it, because we put in for like 2 pots of money thinking, one isn't going to come in, and then take a chance. Both came in and you're like, oh shit, now we got money and we got like the same amount of time to spend it. And then like we had like 202 men put through counselling.
Oh shit,
and it
brilliant.
was it was the most like stressful thing I've ever done in my life.
Was it?
Yeah.
In what sort of way?
It's just like, because I don't think you realise when you're doing it how much you're juggling of people's. What normally happens is, see, I get like a referral from someone, whether it be like a wellbeing coordinator who's in the GP surgeries, or an organisation would just ask me for a form, fill it in, they'd send me the form, and I pass it straight to a counsellor of my choice. I say, can you take this on? She or he will say, yeah, I got room, I'll take it. So that person wouldn't speak to me at all. I would literally pass it straight on to the counsellor, which was taking a load off me. But then you're still dealing with a lot of people's like information. Like making sure GDPR is all up and then making sure that they've had their sessions. The sessions are paid. They're happy, but then you contact them for feedback and they're like, who the hell are you? Because they don't realise that you're the guy who's facilitated the relationship of going to the counsellor. Even though the counsellors did their bit, they were very clear on, like, you do understand who's funding this, and that wasn't really our point. We didn't care if they knew it was us, but all we wanted is, did you give us the feedback when it's done? You know, just so we know where we're going right or wrong. And it's overwhelmingly positive, because the counsellors that we use were, you know, great, like. And it's just, I don't think I quite realised, reading everyone's referrals, I was trying to pick and choose with somebody saying I only want a male, or somebody was maybe particularly better suited to a certain counsellor. So I was reading a little bit about what they've been through, and I didn't realise how much that's taken out of you. And sometimes it's like very generic. But it did not really. Like, I was dealing with like 8 or 9 a day sometimes, and.
Because like I was gonna say just now, don't know when you were saying that you had training, you were doing the training and stuff. At the end of the day, no matter how much training you do, you're still human. So how much do you take home with you sometimes that you know weighs heavy on your shoulders?
Yeah, it can be. It's a difficult one, because I think we all fool ourselves to thinking like, so when I was working in
I know exactly what you mean.
Like, you can really trick yourself to thinking. I've partitioned myself. So like, what I always try to do, because before, like I said, I'm long past driving. I'm like driving 3 or 4 years now, like, you know. So when I used to work for mine, I'd catch a bus over to Merthyr, catch the bus home, and I'd be based in Merthyr, so I'm pretty much walking around the place all day. So when I'm over there, I'm in work mode. And when I'm travelling home then, I'd have a podcast on or music or something, and I'd have a bit of a process where, as you're coming sort of over the edge of the valley towards like Slewcoed, I would sort of like treat myself as Merthyr Shaun is work Shaun, Aberdeen Shaun is dad. And I'd go through like this mental process of like checking off what I'd done for the day, and then trying to just like make a thing of saying, you know, like, make peace with what you've done that day type of thing. And it's hard, because you get to the front door and then there's this overwhelming thing of I'm home. But then now where I'm like, you know, say I'm like, last night I had a group in Aberdeen, the fire station, busy as hell, new faces there. Great when you're in the moment and everyone's chatting and you're getting it done. As soon as you close that door at the fire station, that drive home is 5 minutes. I haven't got that transition time now. So I'm like, that could be difficult. So I like got home last night and I just, you know, waffling on to the missus about some bollocks that had nothing to do with anything. I could tell she was listening, because she was watching the telly, playing on the phone, like. And I don't. It's not for her to be like. She don't need to hear all the shit I'm saying. It's pointless crap, like. And then she went to bed, and then I was like, you haven't done what you need to do for coming home tonight, like. And then it was super late then, because I was trying to go through it all, but then I'd also done that like half process of I've come home now, so I've become like partner and dad Shaun again, but I hadn't shut the let's talk thing off for the night. So it can be challenging, but I tend to try to go through a checklist of things to be like, you need to, like, the let's talk stuff is not dad's responsibility, and the dad stuff's not let's talk's responsibility. Difference if my phone rings and it's a missus, and you know, if something's up with the kids, the let's talk stuff, it's just, you know, it's like you got dad more. There is no priority other than that, like. It trumps everything, like. So when you're going through these things, it is about like the cheesy thing of self-care. It is about like making sure that you're not closing yourself off to people. You are talking to people, and what we tend to do now is with the guys who volunteer, like the facilitators that help you out, is offering that sort of time to offload to me, but then in equal measure then they also like listen to whatever I've got to say. And it's sometimes easier that if you offloaded something, like somebody come in here and they were like really traumatized, they offloaded everything on you and you're like, shit, what am I going to do with this? And you tell me, I'm removed from that. I haven't had to sit here and listen to that person.
Yeah.
So I can take a bit of that off you without feeling their pain.
Yeah.
So that's like, and I suppose that's why counsellors go to like supervisions and things like that. You know, it's a lot easier for a counsellor of a counsellor to hear a story than hear it directly, you know?
Yeah.
So it's all those little things, but again, then you've got to be like mindful of when you're offloading to your partner. How's her day been? Because I've just come in and waffled onto her, and she's probably thinking, "Yeah, I've had a great day. Thanks for that."
Yeah, thanks for
asking. I'm going to bed now,
like,
and you know, so it is hard to switch gears and change hats, like, but it's all, again, it's cheesy, but it's all self care. It's all of the things you got to do and try and check it at the door. I suppose like we're all different when we go to work, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
We don't take like our work more into the house as often as we can. You know, sometimes it can be hard to adjust, but it's the same thing. But it's about trying to remain that step removed from somebody else's pain whilst having empathy.
So you've been through like your own challenges yourself, and so do you ever worry that sometimes you might trigger your own past? Yeah.
And what with me, it was like I had gone through like a lot of like bullying and all that crap as a youngster, and then you just grow up angry. You just like you're angry, but I never had the I was never the fighting type. So I was never like an angry person. Like I'm gonna go out and punch someone. I'm gonna get into fights, and because I was scared of my own shadow growing up. Like, you know what I mean? It was like I think I was bullied to the point where everything scared me. Like, and then I took up kickboxing then with two lads, and they really like lifted me up. But then it was almost like now I've got the strength to deal with that crap. It all came out.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know any of the signs. I had like nothing, no expectation of it's gonna bubble up like it did. And then one day in training, I was actually putting boxing gloves on. I just burst into tears. I was like, "The fuck is this like?" And I remember the guy turned around, wrapped up his gloves. He's like, "Okay." He's like, we're gonna sit down and have a conversation. I was like, I feel like a knob, like, and he was like, "Why?" But his dad and between him and his brother normalized crying as a man, and it was like, yeah, would you cry if you hurt your foot or something? Why would you not cry about it? You know, it hurts, and let it out. Like, it's going to bottle it up. It's going to be worse. And it was the first like sort of male in my life that like was just like, yeah, crack on, just get out your system. And then like where you think that would be,
especially in around the valleys and stuff, because we've grown up from a mining background kind of thing, all underground, hard men, tough men.
Really, anything like that is seen as a danger because it's not
generational. Isn't it?
And I think we've sort of rewritten our history a little bit by claiming that these guys are looking at men as weak for crying. I don't think it was ever a thing about weakness. It was danger. If somebody's going to be a risk in the mine, that's a risk to dozens of guys. And you think, like, if you've got somebody crying because maybe something really bad has happened to them, they got to be thinking in their heads, like, we're underground. The number of risks we're dealing with in the dark is high enough as it is. And if you're not in a healthy, fit state to be working, you're putting numerous guys at risk. It's not about saying he's weak. I think and I think it's just maybe convenient to say he's weak. And I might be wrong, but it's just the way my old man and things would tell the stories about how they treated guys. I'd be like, well, you sound like you're covering your asses more than bullying somebody. Like, doesn't sound like you were being horrible to the guy. He was like, you need to not be here, like, because this is going to be dangerous if you're fucking about, like, you know what I mean? And I think it's mile underground, like, fucking about, like, if somebody starts crying, I'm
with
thinking,
a pick in it,
exactly, the risks in it, you know, and we you know, especially with me, like, I work like from home in the community. I work in the softer, plushy stuff, you know. They get a lot of it in interaction with people. It can be heavy and whatnot, but I'm not working with tools and things like that, you know. So my society's impact on my job is different. Whereas, like, if you're working on a site and somebody's doing it, again, it's not about a weakness. You've got to think, like, if somebody's got tools and they're having a mental break, the reaction, unfortunately, is going to be one of fear, and it's going to be like, you fucking check yourself, like. And it may be that you don't mean to be horrible to someone. It's just like, you can imagine kind of being on a scaffolding, somebody's having a bad time, you're thinking, shit, I'm up here with him, like. You know what I mean? If anything goes wrong, it's both of us on you, you know. And I think that we'd all too often And I don't mean men in general. I mean just like a society's judgment of men is we don't talk, we act out of anger, all this stuff, and it's like we haven't been equipped with the language from childhood on how to say how we feel.
Yeah.
When we have been, you've called a ponce or puff or something. It's like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
You know, and then, or like in some guys, you start crying and you have a clip for it, and so it's beaten out to you. And then when you become an adult, and then they say to you, why can't you tell me what's wrong? I haven't got the words for it.
I don't want to never fucking sick you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm having an headache from you telling me off. Like. But like, I think things are getting better, and I think the way that we will interact with our children about like equipping them with the right language and again, it's the right language, but it's not excusing behaviour either.
Yeah,
I can't excuse, like, you can't just say mental health is an excuse for anything. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are out there doing our wild, but I mean, it can never be an excuse. It can be a reason. Sometimes, you know, things happen, people have really bad experiences, and, you know, there was that real bad story about the court in Pengraig with the lady had, I think she'd stabbed someone.
Stabbed the older gentleman
I
in
don't
the back
think
of
she
the
woke up
head,
that morning of sound mind and going, oh, I know what I'm going to do today.
or stabbed someone. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and that is the image of mental health. Is people become stigmatized because of somebody who's in a really bad place,
Yeah.
deciding to do something that we will never truly understand, because we will hopefully never be in her mindset.
Yeah.
And on the other side of things, then that family are dealing with a great loss then of somebody. But what's the headline? Basically, they say someone like a nut has murdered somebody.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, that's not really the true story,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it? Like, you know.
Because his wife had dementia, and she
Yeah.
was sat outside in the car waiting for him. It was a really sad
Yeah.
story. But how long did she have a long sentence?
I can't remember now, but and it only popped in my head because only recently somebody mentioned about it. And I was like, oh, I forgot that happened. And I think it is sad what's happened to her, but the great loss is on the other side, unfortunately. Somebody's still a victim of something really bad, and there's, you know, his wife then is in a real bad place. Dealing with dementia, for God's sake, like, that's cruel as hell. Like, you know, it's one of those things that you think. Like my partner works in a care home.
Yeah,
with people
same
with
as my
dementia.
partner. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know how they do it. I just honestly don't know how they do it.
And she comes out, like, I've always been in a mindset where I've always wanted to work and save, right? I spent 7 days a week for many years in work, trying to save money. And since I met her and she was working on a care home, and she was coming home and just telling me, like, not even the bad things, you know, this lady is, you know, she was calling me a lot, or forgetting she had food or something, and I just from that point I was just like, what am I working 7 days a week for? This dementia can hit us at 40, 50. It doesn't. How long have we got healthy at full health? Just enjoy yourself now, while we got full capacity of our brains. Because when you hit that stage, like you said, it's a really cruel life to not even know if you've eaten, if you've been to the toilet.
And if you need to go to the toilet,
I know,
like, some people don't even know they need to go. Like, it's, and you think about, like, we get brought up from children, we get looked after, obviously, babies and whatnot, and we, you know, little by little, we get taught how to do things for ourselves. And as an adult, you should be doing all those things for yourself. Imagine one day it just starts going away. Like, you start noticing these things creeping in, and you can't put your finger on why it is. And I suppose nobody wants to admit, like, oh, I've got dementia or whatever.
Well, that's probably a massive part as well, because nobody wants to admit, because it's kind of like a weakness, sort of speaking, innit?
Yeah, it's really,
and if it starts happening, you think, oh, well, I can't say nothing because they're going to put me in a home. Yeah. And then it just kind of, you're doing stuff in, and it gets to a point where people are noticing, and it's just, it's not, personally, I would rather go away before that happened to me.
Oh God, yeah. Because we don't want to be a burden on people, do we? You know, and I think that's, like, a large part of it is it's got to be pride, but a large part of it is why you wouldn't want to be a burden on anyone. No, you spend like 18 years, give or take, you know, being looked after to some extent. Then, like, in sort of like stereotypical society. Yeah. For 18 to say what, 60, 70, that's a hell of a long time to be on your own 2 feet, and then bam, out of nowhere, somebody says, you got onset dementia, you got Alzheimer's, or you got Parkinson's. That's another one, terrifying. And then you're like, well, what does that mean? And they start explaining to you, and then little by little, as the conversation goes on, you feel like your life is being robbed from you, you know. And it's like, shit. What, you know? How am I supposed to have lived 40 years of working like hell?
Yeah.
And then now I should be retired and living the dream. I'm going straight into care home.
Well, what's retirement age? Was the government giving a retirement age? Or 70?
Probably, yeah.
We'd lucky to even get to that.
We're retiring on the job
65
now,
maybe,
dropping dead and retiring.
Yeah, you're more likely to die on the job now than get your retirement.
Yeah.
You work all that time. My nan is, she's been retired years, she's coming up to 80. And she worked all her life and been fit and healthy all her life. And her hips just started deteriorating really bad. So she's been on the waiting list, coming up 2 years now for a new hip. And all the taxes she paid all her life, and she still, because to have it done private, I think it's come to about £18,000. So it's, I mean,
Steep,
it's not really,
you know, it's not like that level of money is not easy accessible, like, you know.
No, so you work all your life to pay your tax and your national insurance all your life, and then you can't even get a treatment on the NHS. Like, luckily she's all sound mentally, which you prefer, really, don't you?
Yeah. But again, you know, it's like, think about all that time that you've had working hips. Put all that time in, all of the hours, endless hours of, and maybe sacrifices. You've had to spend time with, you know, your kids are in the house, but you've had to go to work, or you're still in work and they're coming home from school, or whatever happens. That, you know, maybe you've taken overtime on the weekend and now you don't spend the weekend with your partner or whatever. And then for what, like?
Yeah.
And essentially, and then, I don't want to bash the NHS. I think to be honest, it's middle managed to death. That's my opinion of it. I think there's so many middle managers that mix up the message in the middle that by the time it gets to the bottom, nobody knows what they're doing. Yeah. And then you end up with stupid waiting lists and whatnot. And the way it's going to end up privatised, I think. And then people then, like, is what benefit is that to her then? You know, like, so you wait for 2 years and you can't afford it anyway because it's gone private, like, you know. How is anyone supposed to live on that? Because we are sold the dream continuously. You get to retirement age, have a pension, this, that and the other. And then when you, again, about being taught in school, when you start, like, looking at your pension and you're looking at it going, so I'm putting it in every year, but it's losing value. How is this working out then?
It's heartbreaking, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To think that this is the process of life that we have to go through. But like I said, we taught that we have to go through that. You go to school, you get a job, you work all your life, you retire, and you get your pension at 65 if you even got your legs working for you.
But it's a sad thing that we taught that from so young.
Yeah,
we just accept that fate. It's like primary school age. You kind of got it in mapped out in your head.
Yeah.
Like.
Did you have kids when you was going through your bad patch?
Yeah. So we had, Jacob would have been about 2.5, 3. Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, around 2.5. I think he would have been. But it started with. So I was kickboxing one as well. Like, so in a short period of time, I was like putting weight on. So sparring was getting more and more difficult. And the two boys I sparred with, proper, like, fast and heavy-handed boys. Yeah. So it was never a good combination. And I had, like, this stubbornness of, like, I'm going to spar.
Yeah.
Which resulted in me just and they never took the piss. I'm not saying they ever took the piss out of me. But they're like, if you were going to spar, then
you're going to spar.
Yeah. It's not going to be like, love taps. Like, it's going to be like, you're in or you're out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
And you know what it's like as well, it gets heavier and heavier.
And if you land, they land.
Yeah,
and I never
plan off to go light, and then it just gets heavier and heavier. And the more tired you get, and we start loading up your shots.
And I was never ever going to go punch for punch with either of them. Like, I mean, my heaviest probably their lightest.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's never going to go 1 for 1 with them, and they never took the piss. But I remember one day, we were doing like MMA sparring, and one of the boys kneed me in the face, and he just complete, fluke of I move forward, he knee at the same time. And I can just remember, like, sitting like this, like, why is he stood up here? I'm like, why am I on the floor? Why? You think he would try to, like, get on top of ground pound me? I was lying here, like, why does he look so concerned? And he's like,
you were right.
You went out, like, and it was you were right. I'm like, why am I being? And then, like, this weird buzz was like, shit, I got knocked out. Like, it was like, but it was off and on. He said, you were like, he was like flash. He said, you're off and on within seconds, but you clearly didn't come around very quickly.
Yeah.
Like. He said, he said, we'll call it quits for today. And I was like on the Saturday. And the following Saturday then, got like taste of vinegar in your mouth and you're like, I'm sparring today. He's like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
We weren't fine. Knocked me out within like 3 minutes. I can remember seeing his fist and my legs buckled. And I remember like bouncing back up and then he just like hit me with a straight. And I could see the look on his face was like, oh, fuck, it's happened again. And he just knocked me out. But it was a quick thing again.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, this is twice in a week now. He said, this is not good. Like, and I genuinely think I had a concussion from it and I never addressed it. Yeah. And then a couple of weeks went by and then I got rocked really hard again. And he's like, look, I barely touched you then. And like, I know I didn't feel a thing. He was like, your legs went big time. I was like, I'm fine. He tapped me like twice more and it was like, kept going like this. He's like, nah, that's it, but his gloves are off. Like, we're having a rest from this. And then, so that was the lead up to me crying then, weeks and weeks and weeks later. And I noticed that my mood started changing at home. I started to lose my temper a lot. And it was like I said, I had a lot of anger, but I never necessarily would be like taking it out on others. But then it'd be like, you know, baby's make a mess eating their food. I would lose my shit because he's making a mess. He's like, he's 18 months old, Shaun. Yeah. And then like that went up, like I said, to about 2.5 years old. It was still hanging around and I was working for EE at the time and I was very slowly declining. I could feel something happening. I didn't know what it was. And I would just be like making stupid mistakes in work that like, I was almost a passenger in my own body looking at me make mistakes and going like, yeah, that seems fine. Like the decision making was always off. And then it was like decision making with anything was not logical. Like I can remember feeling the slippery slope. And then it was like drinking heavily all the time. It was like any excuse to drink. And I was like,
what was your drink of choice?
Just cans of beer, but it was just shit. Like, and cheap shit. Like it was just, and it weren't even, one, it tasted nice. Two, I enjoyed being drunk. It was just wanted to black out of everything. Yeah. And like drinking issues is big in my family. Like so it was always a concern. But then I remember one day looking in the mirror and not really recognising who was looking back. And I was like, oh, shit's got to change. Like,
do you put on weight or lose weight?
Oh, I put on weight massive. Yeah. And I was already putting on weight. And then it was like, it sped up. And I held that weight for a long time. Like, it was as if, like, all that abuse had, like, stored, you know? It just stayed there. It wouldn't shift. Like, and you just kill your motivation and all that shit. Like, so then when I went through the actual breakdown, it came like that. Like, it was like, poof, one day I couldn't go to bed. And the missus and all things was like, you got two options. Get up and get your shit together, or we going to the doctors. And I was like, I physically can't move. She was like, well, you're going to get your shit together then, you know. I was like, the thought process of being a person that day was like, I don't even know what that looks like anymore. So I little did I know she'd made a doctor's appointment in between this. So we went to the doctor, and the smug reaction to me going there was, yeah, we knew this was coming on, didn't we?
Well, that's the doctor said,
yeah, we've been having this conversation for years. You've been blaming boxing, blaming weight gain, blaming this, blaming that. It's depression, he said. And I partly felt like, thanks for the answer, but could you have done it a bit nicer? And all of a sudden then he's sticking citalopram prescriptions in me. I'm like, that's
an antidepressant tablet.
And I said, I don't want to take that. And he's like, do you want to get better? And obviously when you're sat there with your partner, and then all I can think is then, it's like, the little ones at home, he doesn't need this shit, you know. He needs to try something. And I think I was on them for 6 weeks to try and get him in the system, and it was like the worst 6 weeks of my life. It was horrendous. I was like a zombie, and like it was just, you didn't feel anything. Like I couldn't feel.
It's taking your humanity away. Yeah, you're like, no longer human then. You're just a walking robot.
You didn't feel like, and it's not I'm saying I didn't love my child or love my missus. It was like you didn't know what love felt like at that time. Didn't know what sadness felt like, happiness felt like. I love comedy. I would put like things on, like I used to like watching the live bottom shows again, right? Sit there watching like it's a fucking serious film, like like I just like sitting in the, like an entire hour and a half, like not laugh once. And I remember thinking, why was that not funny? Like, you know, and then I'm thinking to myself, then again, you haven't really laughed at anything recently, cried. Nothing is
just dead.
Yeah, proper dead. Yeah, and then the two boys then who I was training with quite frequently, and unfortunately, their dad passed away.
All right.
And I remember
They were brothers, were they?
Yeah, so their dad passed away, and like I said, he brought them up in a very loving environment, and he was a lovely bloke. Like, I've only met him a couple of times, but genuinely nice bloke. So when you get on great with two guys, and then you meet their dad, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and their mum is lovely. I could see, and now when I think about it now, I think about the two boys, or the one boy's kids, and their mum. There is that bit of like, I can feel that empathy and pain for them, because like that nobody should have to go through that.
Yeah.
But we were going over to see one of the boys to like have a chat on the day that he passed away, and it was like, and now I feel a bit of guilt because there was no feeling there. And she was like, "Oh, you're awfully quiet. How are you feeling?" No, I'm like, "I'm not.
Just not feeling
anything
at all."
And I said, my brain was saying, you should be feeling sorrow or something right now. And the realisation of I can't say that to him, because he's like one of my best friends. I can't say to him, I'm sorry you feel like shit, but I'm not feeling anything. But then I felt like I didn't want to go there and be fake.
Yeah.
So I just had to like kind of roll with it, like.
Yeah.
And I literally, that day was the last day I took the citalopram. I'd been the fucking lot. Like, I was like, I'm never taking them ever again. And then that was the turning point for me to go like, I'm got to sort this shit out. I got to do it myself. And like with the Let's Talk group thing, it's like, when I went there and he said, these are the support groups you can access. And he's like, obviously you can't access the women's groups. There's like arts and crafts groups.
You probably can now. Ask her these days, you'll be strict in it.
Well, the size of my tits back then, but for all the way though, I could have put the bar on and got in there. Like, but he was like, there's arts and crafts group, which have a place, but not for me. Or there's a mixed group. I wasn't comfortable being in a room with mixed people I'd never met before talking. And also you don't want to be like, I'd rather be in there with just blokes, like, because that's how I felt comfortable. Yeah. So then there was no male option around, like. So then when I seen this start up and I jumped on board with like, let's get this thing off the ground as quick as we can, it all made sense. And I think about like my boys. I think I'd rather have them grow up with the language and things that they can not have to go through what I was going through so much, or at least know what it is before it comes, and not have a doctor to say to you, well, we knew this was coming, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a fucking...
Know how to connect with someone on that emotional level.
Yeah.
That you're not just insulting them, kind of. You like, obviously, at some point, you realise, I have to go to the doctor as well. You don't need him being a sarcastic little...
No, you don't say at that point.
Oh, you knew you were going to come.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I've already been dragged as it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you're not in my good graces as it is. I don't want to be you. And I'm like, I've got a weird relationship with like doctors and things like that, because I'm very much about how much can we do ourselves, how much can we do naturally, not like a hippy shit way. I mean, like, how often can we do things without avoiding medication that you don't need to take, or avoiding surgeries that you don't need, or things like that. I think once you start potching with things, that's when shit goes wrong. And it was more of that thing of, look, I've had to like swallow my pride to come here and be like, I need help, and you're sat there going, I've been waiting for this day. It's like, oh, well, congratulations, like, you've got your one up. Like,
I know, I went to the doctors a couple of years ago. I had stomach issues. It turned out there was IBS, and I damaged my bowels from food poisoning when I was younger. Yeah. So damaged my bowels and gave me IBS in the long run. But I went there one day, and she looked at me, she's like, I don't even listen to me really. I sort of told her what the problems were, and she just said, I think it's anxiety, she said. I'll give you some tablets. So she typed it, I said, no, listen, I don't want tablets for anxiety. I know it's not anxiety. I got a stomach issue, like, you know what I mean? And she was just so easy to give me them tablets for something that she didn't even listen to what I was saying. And it's like, I found out, I don't want to go too, like I said, too far into it, I might get you sacked. But with the COVID vaccines, I found out that some of the doctors were getting paid to send people per injection. So, and the way the pharmaceutical company runs, I don't know if it's the same with like them sort of tablets and stuff, but the more they get rid of, the more they get paid or they get money for.
Yeah, I do always wonder about that, because they're always quick to push tablets on you, like, and it's very much like, Like I went to the doctors this week. Like I said to you, come in. I got diagnosed with Crohn's a couple of weeks ago, and I just went there because like and this is the state of the system at the moment is. I was given 6 weeks notice of an appointment with an IBD clinic, which basically go meet your nurse and figure out what life's going to be like now. So the day before, I get a letter telling me it's cancelled. Like, oh, great, perfect. Phone them up. Because it says it's convenient on the letter. It might just be an appointment change of time. Yeah. So wait for the follow-up letter. Well, I can't wait for the follow-up letter because if this is the post today, my appointment could be after the post comes tomorrow. Like.
Yeah.
So I phoned them. The woman on the phone was lovely. She was like, look, there is no clinic no more. Currently, like as in, they're overhauling it. And you only like you hear somebody say something, but it's like, I heard the words you're saying, but I don't think they mean the same thing as what I'm thinking. So I said, can you just explain that again? And she laughed. She went, yeah, you heard it right. They've like eradicated everything at the moment. They're redoing the clinic. I was like, what does that mean? She went, I don't actually know. So that's all I have information on. I think I waited 6 weeks for this appointment, and now I'm told it's cancelled. I'm not going to have a go to her. Obviously, it's not her fault. Like.
And she's flipping tables. Like, what do you mean it's cancelled?
Yeah, and she said to me at the end of the call, like, oh, thanks for being understanding. It was not your fault. Like, you had nothing to do with this. Like, and if you have, I'll come back and phone you and see. Oh, you lied to me.
Yeah.
But so I booked the appointment with my doctors. Didn't hear nothing for a week, and then they sent me for an appointment. Then 11 o'clock, they texted me to be there at 11:30. I was in Nancarrow. Like, I can't get to Aberdeen that time, like. Yeah. So, managed to move the appointment, which I thought, that's a frigging miracle in itself. Speaking to the guy, and he kept hearing half of what I was saying and jumping in. I'm like, no, listen now.
Yeah, just listen to what I got to say, please.
And I'm like, you know, I'm happy to listen, but you need to hear the full what I'm trying to explain to you. And the outcome of it basically was, I contacted the IBD clinic. But the one I told was cancelled, you mean? Yeah, and that's why I'm here. Like, and then he said to me, if I could be blunt with him, he said, given all your symptoms and your examination I've done on you and everything, I felt your stomach, all that, he said, for somebody with Crohn's, he said, I think you're winning. He said, I think you should just be happy with the thing is. He said, and life, this is life now.
Oh,
and on one hand, you're like, I'm grateful you got the balls to say that to me, but on the other hand, like, come on, could you just not said that, like, because it was just like, and then he said to me about anxiety. He said, "Oh, looking at your history," he said, "I think that," he said, "You're having symptoms because you're anxious about having symptoms, and that's causing the symptoms." And I was like, sat there going,
"So you're just calling me an hypochondriac." So I just come down here, I go all the way for you to call me an hypochondriac.
And I left there going, I don't know if I've been given answers or been called a knob.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say or do. I got in a car and I just sat there like, I don't know if I'm angry, sad, relieved, been taken a piss out of.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know, like, and I had no answers. I literally left there going like, I'm not a confrontational type as it is. I'm not going to stand and argue with someone if I can avoid it anyway. But I went in there like full of piss and vinegar and left there with my tail between my legs going, what the fuck just happened? Like, went in for a fight and going, you've just undressed me, Bill. Like, I just like, you just took a piss out of me. Like, call me a hypochondriac and sent me on my way. Like.
Did you, obviously it's quite a life-changing thing to have. How did it affect you mentally, hearing that you had that?
So, when I was first given sort of like a pre-diagnosis opinion, then they said it's ulcerative colitis. So, you know, it's like, you do the worst thing you could possibly do. Go on a rabbit hole on Google.
No, I know, yeah.
And I'm the first person to say, I'll never do it, and it's the first thing I do. Yeah. It's the first thing I did. I was like, and normally I go, I calm your ass, because whatever you type in, you could type in a stub my toe and it'd be like, I'll probably be dead in 24 hours. So I was like, I'm not doing it.
Go to the liver, that'll go to the heart.
Yeah, you've had it basically.
Seek a doctor.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not doing it. It didn't last long. I was on it looking, and because like what happened, I had an infection and I went to hospital. That kind of like scared me a bit, like, because I'd never been in hospital for anything, and then all of a sudden it's like they put you in thinking you got sepsis, and then like my partner was crying, and I was thinking, fuck, if she's crying,
because that's a serious thing to say as well, isn't it? So
yeah.
So what was it? Just explain for anyone watching. What was it that they said that was the reason why you had sepsis?
Yeah, so again, when they thought I had sepsis, because I'd gone for what they would call a routine colonoscopy, which, for anyone fucking listening, do not do it on gas and air. It's a fucking lie. All these women give birth with gas and air. They fucking lying to you, but it don't work. Don't ever let anyone stick anything anywhere with gas and air, but they say, do you want to be sedated? Yeah, fucking knocked me out. It was the most embarrassing and awkward fucking experience of my life, right? And it was fucking painful. I don't know, I'm a wimp anyway, but I'll tell you I'm a wimp, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? But I thought my pain threshold was a lot higher than I found out to be, man, right? And it's not the place you want to be when your arse end is out around a bunch of freaking nurses and whatnot, like, and they're going, oh, only 5 more minutes, like you said that 20 minutes ago, like. And so basically they take a camera, go up through like colon and all through a bowel, and the bowel like comes up and around. So then what they do is they're looking for any sort of inflammation and whatnot. But at the same time, see, because they need space, they're pumping air into your guts. So they're pumping air into your bowel. Yeah. You can imagine which way that's going to come back out. Yeah, right? In a room full of people, it's not the most, not the best experience in the world, like, right? But I think the more we talk about it, the more, you know, the more normal it'll be for people who's going. People,
you know, right, and I'm cringing as well, but it's important for men to look after their health.
Yeah, because, like, you know what I'm saying, but you go to the doctors and say, I'm going to have to prostate exam, and it's the first time you've ever been, you're like, you fucking... and it's that experience of being jumped, like, and oh, fuck, you panic, like, you tense up, like. And all they're saying is, relax, relax. I'm like, sorry, but who's got the 17-foot camera up their arse, me or you, like? You know what I mean? I think it's coming out of my mouth, like, you know, and it's like, chill out, like. And so... And the worst part is, but you can see the fucking screen. You can see everything they're looking at, right?
Well, you're watching it. With the gas in it, you're watching.
Oh, but it's
this thing up your ass.
Yeah. So when it's going up, you use the gas in air. When it's coming back out, no gas in air. But
they won't give it to you.
Not allowed to use it.
Why?
Because it's something about like the way it weighs up. You get like really fucking. You get woozy, but you feel everything. But your mind's gone, but you still feel everything, right? So I'm watching him. Because your brain's a bit like, ooh, you don't really know what you're looking at, right? So he's going up now, he's looking at everything, and this huge bloke is like, you're going good, champ, he's coming back down now. I'm like, what do you mean he's coming back down? The words weren't really making any sense. I'm like, where is he coming back down? Where's he been, like? I'm thinking of the doctor, like. Yeah. And I'm looking at this thing, and you can't see up or down. It's inside your body, you don't know what's going on. And then he goes, oh, he's just got to go back up a moment. And then I'm like, whoa, no. When he went back up last time...
Hang on, I got to put the camera in now.
Whoa! Why is the screen still black? And so he basically, like, he's going up and he's taking, like, cuts all the way down. But what happened is he went back up across open cuts. And I suspect, obviously, you've got all sorts going on in your guts. Even though you go through, like, prep the night before, which is fucking horrendous, like... you're supposed to be like cleaned out type of thing. Like
it's a drink, is it? You take a drink and
I can't touch lemon stuff ever again, but it's fucking rancid.
Do you mix it with anything?
So you mix it with just water. Yeah. But it's like the liquid is almost like thick, and you've got to use like an exact measured amount per like. So they're saying break up into shots, but it's not like thick like custard of that thickness, but it's like like a thick mouth feel. And it's almost like you feel like you're chewing it, and you swallow it, and it feels like. It goes down feeling like custard, but it's thick, right? And it's the most synthetic lemon taste ever. I can't touch anything lemon.
Like spray or something.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Like cleaning product.
It's like drinking cleaning product. And you get your first fucking shot of it. You're like, oh god, that hurts. Second, and then obviously you got to run to the bathroom. Little do you realise it only gets worse. Like, you think the first one's bad, and it's like a warning shot. It's like. So then, the psychology of like, you leave your bathroom, go and sit down, and as soon as your ass hits on the chair, like, you're like, you need to go fuck, again. You're running again. And I ain't far from my toilet, but it's a fucking run, right? Yeah. And then it's like, you know, the Dumb and Dumber thing with the guys on the toilet, right? Ain't exaggerating.
I can't remember. I'm not a massive fan of them films.
But
I can't remember them much.
Any film that you've seen with like somebody's fucking taking something like that, right?
What's the White Chicks, is it? Is it White Chicks when he's in the toilet?
I'm not sure, but
I can't remember. I'm sure it's that.
But like something like that, you know, that thing of like, it's fucking urgent. Like. Yeah. And they downplay it to you on the phone, like, yeah, you know, just make sure you're near the toilet and that. So you'd think now that after everything you've been through, you'd be fuck all left in you, like how your guts are still in you is a fucking surprise, right? So then I'm looking at him, like you can see little pools of like water and whatnot, and they sucking up the fluids whilst going through. But as you know, like, any sort of matter like that isn't all liquid and it isn't always all going to come out. So then he's coming back up my bowels across open wounds and then basically it's caused an infection. Now their argument is the infection was already there.
Yeah.
Because of how I was feeling and this, that and the other. So then, that was on a Thursday. On a Friday, we done a charity fundraising type of night in Let's Talk, in Jack's for Let's Talk. And I can't really remember much of the evening at all. Everything's a blur because I was in so much pain. Like, I couldn't drink anything. I was sleeping hours and hours and hours of the day. Like, you know, I had to be there like 4 o'clock to make sure everything's set up. I don't think I got there till 6 because I just slept. Like,
just slept away.
And then I was there and like people were like asking me what drugs I was taking. So I was sweating like profusely. Like, and they were like, and they could see I was out of it. Like, and I can't remember conversations I had with people and it was that bad, right? Because obviously while everything was going on, I wasn't drinking. Like, so my missus had a drink and I drove down and then I drove back and dropped her brother and my sister-in-law. I'm lying in bed now, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, fucking room spinning as if I'm pissed, right? And I said, I'm so fucking glad you drove because I would have fucking killed somebody if I drove. She was like, Shaun, I'm fucking pissed, like. How do you think we got home? I'm like, well, you drove. I was like, how did you drive if you're pissed? She went, Shaun, you drove us home like an hour ago.
Oh, so that's not good, is it?
And I was like, this is not far at least, and then it was up the road, like, innit? She went, and you dropped my brother and sister-in-law. I'm like, okay, that's a bit more fucking worrying. I don't remember doing that bit. Like,
yeah.
And then the next day, I was taking one of the boys. I can't remember where the fuck we were going now. Fucking 30 or 40 miles away somewhere on a race because he likes to do ultra marathons and whatnot. Like, and he does loads for my group, like, so raising awareness. So, in all fairness to the boy, like, he trusts my driving, fucking normal. Never mind on this day where I'm still recovering from what's gone on. And all I can remember from that morning was pulling into Tesco car park on the way home because I was in so much pain that I only live up the road from Tesco, but I couldn't bear the thought of driving any further. I pulled into Tesco car park and I just thought to myself, oh, something's seriously wrong here, like. And I was sat there, and even from that morning, couldn't remember dropping this boy out. Like, I couldn't thinking, I've obviously come from it, but where the fuck have I been? Like, well, that's a bit odd. Sunday was even more blurry. The Monday was blurry, and then I can't remember if it was a Monday or I think it was a Tuesday. Like I said, when I came in, I had a glass of water and it was as if somebody set fire to my stomach. I was in agony. Went and laid down on the bed because I had time off work as well, so they gave me time off. So I was like, I just go and lie down and sleep it off, get up and figure out. In the meantime, she booked me a doctor's appointment, and that's when I went down and she thought I had fucking sepsis and all that. She was like, the temperature's way too low
as well.
And she was saying these words to me and nothing made sense, but she said to me, lie down on the bed and I'll examine you. And I literally like lay down and I got to like almost like a weird sort of like arc shape. I just burst into tears, but I thought somebody cut me open. Like, I just felt it's like, all I could explain is if somebody had a knife just running across my stomach. And I've never felt pain like it. But it was no holding back. And I literally just said to her before, I said, I feel like I need to cry and nothing's coming out. Like, there's no trigger for it. Fucking had a trigger then, didn't I? I get bawling my eyes out. And then she was like, I'm gonna phone over and send you straight in. And then again, this is our system. They stuck me in all fairness, I got from A&E to the ward area quick.
Yeah.
But then when I was up there, they sat me in a chair for like 12 and a half hours, no fluids. They said they can't give you nothing because we don't know what's going on exactly. Yeah. They didn't take no bloods, they didn't do nothing. Like 12 and a half hours, the longest night I've ever had in my life.
Which hospital is that?
Prince Charles, yeah. And the staff over, they were great, like. But there was one nurse that came on the following morning who just had her shit together. And she was like, I suspect you got an infection from what I've read in your notes. It's like the other shit, it's not sepsis from what I gather. Because they did come in at one point.
Like, if you had sepsis, right, them 12 hours could have been critical.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't just leave someone waiting like that when you suspect they got sepsis.
No signs of like, what's going on. No like indication of what was happening. So then they took some blood and she said like there's infection. So she's just come in and give me IV fluids and then was putting the antibiotics in as well. She said, but the problem is we need to get you on steroids on top of this, but you've only got like 2 things. So like the antibiotics will run out quite quick. So I'll alternate them. She said, so we're just going to basically flood you as much as we can.
Yeah.
And she said, just try and drink as much water as you can possibly keep down. But you know what it's like? They're so short-staffed as it is, right? But as soon as they put that frigging drip on, you need to piss.
Yeah.
And then trying to get someone and you're like, I need to go like now. And like, yeah, you'll be there now. And half an hour later, you're like, I need to go now. Like, you know, and it's like every time they put a frigging full drip on, I'm like, can I just ask if I need to go for a pee first or something like that? Because you're so quick putting it on. And then she'd come in, the same nurse and was finishing her shift. And she went, I don't know how much I'm really supposed to say, like, but she said to me, I don't think you're improving. She said, I think you're getting worse. She said, I'm going to give you the steroids. She said, I mixed up the formula, but I'm supposed to put them into the liquid, to like slow drip. She said, I'm going to put them straight in. She said, I'm allowed to do this, she said, but I'm not cleared it with a doctor. I haven't got to get permission, but we've been told to drip it in. I'm going to give it straight to you. Fucking hell, but I'm fucking bouncing off the walls. Some good shit, that was. I was fucking felt like Superman. Wore off though, but I was like, fucking dying, like.
Yeah.
It was like, I must have done fucking umpteen crosswords in my book I had with me, but it was...
You were doing crosswords?
Probably all wrong. I was filling in random
age.
letters, but I just fucking... It was just the only thing, right? I had all this energy and nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I was like, I never had this energy as a teenager. Where the fuck's this come from? Like, and all the time I was like, to push it back in the car again. She was like, I can't do it again. Going drip feed it, like, I was like, do this sport now. Put it in again, like, do it again. Fucking bonkers it was like. And a tiny little thing like that with like milky colour fluid in it. Fucking hell, but it was in me like 5-10 minutes and I could just feel everything just go like woof.
That's what you want.
Like, oh shit. And I felt like that was the first time in there did I have a clear thought, like. And I was seeing shit, but I was proper delirious. Like, I was seeing people come out of the walls. I was seeing a couple of boys that come to my Aberdeen group, like, as if they were popping in to visit through the fucking wall, like. But like in Terminator...
It's not good, is it?
No, I know in Terminator 2 when the guy is, like, he's liquid and he's like... You know, when he comes up through the floor with the security guard and he's still got the, like, floor pattern?
Yeah.
It was like, imagine coming out of this wall and it was, like, the face of the person... And it was all normal to me until my auntie, who's been dead like fucking 20 years, came out of the wall. And I was like, oh, nice. Why the fuck would you be here? Like, you're dead. Like, and it was like the realisation of like, and then the boy next to me, and he was fucking sound as hell. Poor fuck, had an infection behind his eye, right? And he said, I feel like my eye's going to like fly out across the room. Right?
Oh.
He said, it's like filling up. And if it weren't for him, but I think I would have lost my mind today. So talk about like, how did it affect on your mental health?
Yeah.
That was the point where it was like, touch and go for me. It
was that?
Yeah, it was seeing shit like, and only when I realised that he realised, or at least I think he realised I was seeing shit. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have asked why I was on antibiotics, because they hooked me up. And he said, why are you on antibiotics? And I couldn't tell him. I didn't really know. Like, they must have told me, but I couldn't remember. And in all fairness to him, they came in and he started questioning them for me. Like,
did he?
Yeah, he fucking probably.
How old is he?
I think he's only a little bit older than me. He must have been like, he probably is in his late 30s. Like, if it weren't for him, I would have definitely lost my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And I would never have known, until maybe the missus came in, why I was on fucking whatever I was on.
Yeah.
But,
scary, wasn't it?
yeah, but and then again, it's that thing of a relief of seeing genuine people out there in the world, and he could just mind his own business and not fucking bothered. Like, and it's not that he was nosing. There was that thing of compassion. Like, he looked at me and was like, this boy's out of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
He needs some fucking guidance. Yeah. He's like, he needs some
fucking auntie, man.
Yeah. Must be looking at me like, why are you looking at the fucking wall like that? Like, and he just honestly made the stay a lot easier. When he was going home, man, I was fucking gutted. I was.
How long was you in after you went home?
I was in overnight that night, and but they moved me from like this mixed ward we were in to like what they call the old man ward. And there was like two guys that were like really, really ill. One was like proper bed bound, being turned and all that for pressure sores.
They seen you doing crosswords. That's what it was. Get him like an old man's ward.
He's talking shit. Get him in here. And the guy next to me would, he obviously had something going on, like Alzheimer's or dementia or this, that and the other, because he kept telling me all the time he's been nominated for some award and he's got to go home, and Mrs. is picking me up now, we're going now. And but it was really funny. He was like, whenever I was coming on the telly, like, he'd give it full like running commentary. So something came on the telly, and it was quite politically charged, and he's like, fucking bullshit that is. I was like, fuck, he's awake, is he? And he was like that all the time. Bastards, a lot of them. Wouldn't fucking trust anyone. He's going like that now, right? I was like, he's watching fucking This Morning, like. Yeah. It's just like, And he's giving it all sorts, like, no better than the fucking Jews and no better than the Nazis. I'm like, whoa, you can't say shit like that, like, this fucking... But it was like, you know, you think about, like, people say, well, the world's gone nuts to peas. You fucking sit next to him, you want, right? You're in all sorts, man. And his family came in and they were lovely, right? You would never think you'd hear something, like, outlandish from him, but as soon as they went, he was racist as fuck at times.
Was
the
he?
things he was saying, and it was like, and I'm assuming it's because of whatever he was going through was just coming out in weird ways. Because he was like, he said to me, he said, "Oh, I much prefer it now you got your hair curly." I was like, and the guy opposite me was like, "He's fucking nuts, man. He's fucking nuts." He said he tells me he's been in all these fucking wars. He said, best part is, he said he thinks he's a fucking gladiator some days.
Oh, never.
And I'm like, what? Is it like from the 80s or fucking Roman Colosseum? Yeah. And he's like, don't fucking set him off now. But then, when he was having like a normal 5 minutes, he's fucking fascinating to talk to. The guy's a lot of experience.
Like, that is dementia, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can snap out of it and then you go just deteriorate back into it.
Because like one of the nurses said, she said like he has moments, she said, he can say quite nasty things and like, she said what tends to be is that he latches onto something on the news. Like she said, like if something on the news about like Palestinian thing with Israel, like she said he latch onto one side one day and he fucking hates that one side. Like, she said, but the following day then he switched sides like. She said, and it's just he keeps like fleeting in and out. But then she said his family like explained that he's like very much affected by his time in the army and stuff. And he's like, even as an old bloke now, is probably PTSD's involved as well.
Yeah,
like, you know,
of course,
he's very vocal about it, like, you know, but he slips in and out, like, he's fucking slipped in for hours, man, like, he's been going for hours, like. I said, this morning was on and he was having to go there, bastards, a lot of them, fucking bastards, a lot of them. Like,
he's probably not far wrong with it.
Yeah, and I was just like, fucking, he likes this morning, does he? Yeah. And then, like, you get some old films come on, and he was watching some fucking old Western thing, and he's like, so you can't get away with shit like this no more, he said, back when they used to really kill people. Like, what, you think they're killing people in the film? Like, I was like, I'm not arguing with him.
Yeah,
back
just
when
leave it
acting
go.
was acting, like, are they acting or are they killing people?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, then, is it me or him who's fucking delirious? Like, because I could still be off. Like.
Mind you were seeing an auntie walking through the wall 10 minutes before.
So I was thinking, no wonder they stuck me in his ward. Like, they probably thought, fucking, they can all talk themselves in here. Like. And then, it was that was when I was like proper questioning my sanity. It was like, is it me or is it him? Like, you know, because maybe he's the one that makes sense, and he's fucking like they're all bastards. Like.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, like I said, talking to my fucking dead auntie to a wall. Like, oh, nice of you to come and see me.
He's probably saying the same thing to his family about you.
Don't talk to him.
Don't talk to him.
He's fucking
He's
nuts.
fucking nuts. So what's the plans with all the charity now going forward? Well, I say charity, so...
Yeah, we're trying to do as much we can, like, in a charitable way, I suppose. It's going through rebranding, it's gone through a bit of restructure and things like this. Some people have moved on, you know, to do new ventures, take on new things. It's quite exciting to see what other people are going to be doing. So for us, it's about sort of trying to realign our focus on what it is that we want to do. So I met with one of the guys who's coming on board now, who's doing our merch for us. And it's very much, the conversation was all around community. We've got to support community. Like, and that's why we started this. It came out of what I call like community depression. You know, you have a joint pain throughout the community. You know, you lose someone to suicide and it affects so many people. Like, you think about if the local guy in the shop or your postman, something happened to one of them, that affects you because you might take parcels in and all of a sudden you stop seeing him. Now, you might not directly know why you're not seeing him anymore. You might have moved jobs. But as the layers go back, you know, there's a family there. There could be a partner there, children, and things like that. So we want to try and do as much as we can with the community aspect broken up into men of RCT first. Everyone else, 1A, 1B. We don't want to say second because it's not a competition. But our focus is get men talking, you know, and maybe hopefully open up more groups that are available in different pockets of the areas, and then through that then focus on like local work, like supporting like food banks if we can. Like,
I wouldn't fucking bother.
This time of year now, you know, it's like people are obviously struggling for money and things like that. If we can, we've got every year we put money aside for like a toy appeal. You know, like I think you've done something similar before, doing like raising money and stuff and taking toys and things. But it's about doing that in the right way. Like, this guy's over.
We walked from Ferndale way down to the Cardiff hospital, Noah's Ark Hospital.
Yeah.
And then took up. We was going to carry all the toys, and glad we didn't in the end, mind, because it was a hell of a walk. But then we had the toys brought down there, and we give them to the kids down the hospital.
And it's like little gestures from individuals, right, that go on to make such a big thing. And like I think I recall from memory, you had a pretty decent turnout of people walking down.
Yeah,
like, it was a big thing, like.
Yeah.
And you know, like things like that, like this guy, I think there's a number of people over kind of alleyway that do that thing every year. So we tend to give the toys to them, and then I'm trying to make inroads with a lady over this way because we were struggling on the wrong side of things. We didn't really have a tie to anybody in particular that we could just say, there's like, I don't say, if it was like £400 of the toys, it's like £200 worth over there, £200 worth over there, and it, you know, it doesn't go far, but it's in addition to whatever else somebody else has given. So we're in the midst of sort of figuring that out now as quick as possible, because Christmas is around the corner. And then it's about trying to support anything local that we can. So as a community interest company, the legal side of it is 60% of your profits minimum have to go back into your community, support the community.
Yeah.
So what we've done is like we've given a lot of money to like sponsor people, sponsor football teams, or anything little thing like that you can do to basically, as blunt as I put it, is not let the tax man have it.
So do you get told do you have to go through anybody before you give money to people?
No.
Who you support, kind of thing?
I think it's...
Is it anybody saying, right, no, I don't want them to be supported? Do you get what I mean?
What we do is, like, because at the moment, the way it's run is the organisation set up as I'm the sole director of it. So I make the decisions.
So what I'm trying to say is, where you've had the money from, did they get any say of where you should be putting the money, apart from in RCT?
Yeah, so depends where you get the money from, of course. Like, so I work for a charity, so they do have grants and things that they can give out to organisations, and Let's Talk Men's Mental Health does qualify to apply for it.
Yeah.
So if I applied for, say, £1,000, then I have to report back to essentially my work, but out, you know, through Let's Talk to say, I spent the money on, or like, this is what I want to spend it on. Do you want to give us money for that? Yeah, we'll fund that. Then you've got to prove you've done that with the money. Or, you know, it's like sometimes things pivot and you have to do things a little bit differently. So you go back to them and say, we ain't going to spend, say, £100 of our budget on that. Can we use it for this instead? Yeah, but you still have to evidence you've done that.
Right, yeah.
Now, say, for instance, now, like Carl Jones, the runner, he raised, like, tons of money for us, and his thing was, I'd like the money to go towards talking therapies, so we put it towards talking therapy, counselling.
All right, yeah. So
that's what his ask was. So yeah, fair enough. The only other sort of thing that we've said is in Tonnerevel, I think it's the Wrong Turn Sevens team put on like a tournament, and one of the guys whose name is just, I've lost his name at the moment, but he put on an awesome event in the day, in the night, raised fucking £700 odd. I think it's £735 he raised just in Tonnerevel.
Yeah.
So what I said is that money is solely for Tonnerevel. Like, they will not use that money for funding Aberdeen or you know, the things like that. So then when we put on the Jacks event, we weren't really doing it to raise money per se, but we raised like £1,200. So what we've done with our money is we bought 2 memorial benches. So we're going to put one somewhere in Cannavale, one in Rhondda. So that's like what we would call unrestricted funds. Like, that money's been given to us with no restriction on it at all. But of course, like, there's still things that you like, we wouldn't fund like a religious group. We wouldn't go give money to a religious group or a politically charged separate group or anything like that. We wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't fund a particular like individual who's highly linked to like a problematic cause or something like that, you know what I mean? You got to be like conscious and stuff like that, like, you know. But at the same time, it's you are, I know I don't want to sell this, but you are almost like given autonomy on what to do with it.
Yeah.
But like, say for instance now, if you raised money and said, I would like to know that this money is going to be supporting things in Mardi or something, right? no issue. If you said, I'd like this money to support just Rhonda, no issue. If you said, I've got no issue where the money goes, but I'd like to know, no issue.
Yeah.
As long as I know,
Yeah.
then I'll do my utmost to respect the fact that you've gone out and raised the money. But also, you can then turn around to people it's given and say, I know where this money's gone, this is what it's funded. And also, wouldn't it be nice for the community to see that their hard-earned money that they've given up has gone into something, and it can be tangible and they can, or at least they know it's impacted somebody positive. Like I always say, there's only so much tea and coffee I can buy a week. Do you know what I mean? That keeps the boys going for so long.
Yeah.
But what's the other stuff we can do? And so we've paid for 2 memorial benches. You know, like little things to us can mean big things to the families we think they're going to go to. We'll try and put one publicly so they can be used by other people as well, and get a nice little plaque put on it. But then the ask is that if there's somebody else that loses their battle of mental health, that we can then add another plaque to that bench. That's the only caveat we ask is, like, if we put it somewhere publicly that is open to use, then if somebody says, I'd like my son or daughter to be, like, have a plaque on it to have their memory shared as well, why not? Let's share, you know, it's essentially there to be talking benches, you know, it's meant to be there to have somewhere to remember someone, but also have somewhere you can go and feel safe to speak to someone. But again, that's unrestricted. We've decided to do that. But then there's always comes to things like we're funding, like when we applied for money for counselling, like we couldn't spend our money on anything else. So then when we got 2 lots of our money, you're like, oh shit, we really got to double the effort. So you're like, and who would ever think you'd be in a position where you got too much money, like, you know? But that's the issue we've found ourselves in all the time, is you either got too much or not enough. You've either got a lot and you obviously don't want the tax man to get his hands on the profits, or you're going, it's going to be tight, this is, we've got to push fundraising and things here, we've got to really, like, get by here. So it's that balancing act all the time, like. But no, like, what I'll do as well is I'll always have the opinion of the lads in the group, because I'd say it's not my group, it's everyone's group. I want everyone to have a bit of ownership of it. And we've got 1,000 men in the private group on Facebook, some of them from all over the world. But whereas I'm not necessarily going to listen to Joe Blogs from Australia's opinion on what to do in Aberdeen. If you had an opinion on Aberdeen, I'd listen, because you're still local to me. You know, you count, like, you know. And then it's not about that the guy in Australia doesn't count, but it's not a lot I can do for you from Wales in Australia, like.
Oh, sorry about that. I was wondering what that light was out there. When you said about the benches, is that people you've lost who've been to you in the group?
Well, one guy, no. Unfortunately, that there was a case of that he'd lost his battle before he would have known about us, I think, from what I can understand of his story. But we've met with his partner, who's unfortunately been left behind, and they got children together. So the idea is that we give them a bench for the kids' sake. So she will put that bench,
nice,
probably somewhere like in a garden or something like that, you know, trying to be mindful of, like, not saying who it is, but, like, when we give the bench over, it's up to her what she does. If she wants to publicly announce that she've had it or what, it's none of our business at that point. It's more for her and the kids to have somewhere to speak to daddy, you know. It's a dedicated space where, you know, sometimes kids find it hard to talk. You know, if you find that one of the kids is sitting on the bench, maybe that's a signal that they want to be talking about it. And then the other person then, unfortunately, the guy who did end his life did come to our group on and off a couple of times. He came out at Christmas time. He went out for an Indian and things like that. He was, like, laughing and joking, being like, you know, is the stereotypical signs are there as a guy who's seeming on top of the world, and then within a week or two had taken his life. And we didn't know about this until the following June. So this was like December 20th, he was out with us. And then by New Year, I think he'd ended his life. And we didn't find out till like June or July. And that only came about because his sister was... Obviously, you're going through all that time. There's enough shit to worry about. We're not worrying about informing a friggin' ragtag group of lads who you know. But then, like, the penny kind of dropped. She connected the dots and she contacted us to say... And again, she's raised money for us as well. Like, you know, she's done great work for us. And then to me, the automatic thing was, let's give her something back. I haven't had a chance to like figure that out with her yet, because it's quite an awkward conversation to have with somebody about like, it's been a while since we spoke.
You've got to find the perfect timing as well, because
Yeah.
some people with grief, some people get over it a lot quicker than others.
Yeah.
Some people never get over it, so
And then it's
finding the
about,
timing
like,
to talk about it is really difficult.
And then it's about when it's the right time for her to respond. I've got to be mindful that I've got the time to respond to her appropriately.
Yeah.
Because then, if I send her a message, I'm like, you respond whenever you want. I'm not like with anybody. You respond when you got time.
Yeah.
I should be like the least priority on your list. You've got enough shit in the world to like worry about. Don't ever worry about it, like messaging me back. Like, the only time that gets concerned is when you never hear back from someone and then you're like, oh fuck, oh, but they're right, innit? But it's then being mindful of when she messages back, if she does, is being attentive and being on the ball and making sure that whatever she needs at that point, that you can be there. And I just hope it's received in the way it's intended. It's not meant to be like, I don't want to dig up old feelings and be like, you know, it's just about, this is an option. If you want it, we will pay for the plaque to be put on it. You tell us what you want on it. We'll get it fitted, delivered. We'll drop it where you want it. Or, similar to that, if you want to put it somewhere publicly, which is we would prefer, but I'm going to leave it open to her, then we will communicate with whoever it is that we need to, that you would like to put it somewhere, and we'll arrange everything, you know, and then you know it's there. But it's just that, like, it's those, that's the good and bad bits of what we do, is having to have those really awkward conversations, because you want it to come from where it comes from, the honest place. But then it's about, you also don't want to seem like a patronising somebody, but like, oh, there, you've lost someone, I'm going to give you a bench. And it's not meant for that. It's meant to have like a dedicated space of his memory is honoured in a different way. And I only met him once, so he left an impression on me. So imagine what he's left on his family and friends and things like that. So it's, and it'd be nice to do something like that again in future for somebody else if they want it. You know, it's just little things like that.
In the future, say when all is said and done, maybe when you're old enough that you want to pass it on to someone else, where would you like to see it?
I think I'd be interested in seeing what, in the hands of somebody else, what their vision of it is. I think if the foundation is laid right, as I think it is, there should be, the intention shouldn't be any different to, we're here to help people. So it's help without harm. We don't do anything that you think could harm somebody. It's only ever to help. You be honest about your intentions, so you don't overpromise and underdeliver. And I'm not saying underpromise and overdeliver. Deliver on what you've promised, or have a conversation about why something can't happen this way. Set expectations and manage them. And also, like, depending on where it goes, because we volunteer, we take no pay from this at all. If it remains voluntary, then, you know, it's managing what you can do with that time. If somebody goes and acquires funding for paid roles, then I would like to at least see it still be, like, true to itself, run for people, by the people who need it. You know, it's like, it's all about the guys that attend. Like, the littlest of decisions sometimes we run past the group because we got to get the temperature check. So I'd like to just see it stay as community based as possible, and if it expanded and got bigger, like Andy's Man Club is massive, like, but I still feel like their cause has remained the same, no matter how big it gets. So I'd like to think whatever happens next, it stays true to the cause regardless of what comes. I think like anything though, is like your brain almost doesn't want to think of it. And it's as egotistical as hell, without you, but then I know that there's going to come a point where it has to be without me. And without me, for the growth and for the betterment of it needs to be taken up by somebody else who's got that different view, because views can become stale. And my experiences are going to... Well, my experiences from 2017, 2018, that's a hell of a long time ago now. So my experiences are not going to be as appropriate or sort of not going to mean as much, because they're from times gone by. So it's going to need fresh eyes, fresh blood. Like with Dan, who does our merch, having him and his partner influence the branding and change a couple of things there, that was a bit weird at first, because I did all the branding alongside Mike.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like you're getting rid of like, it's almost a grief of its own, but it felt like it was the right time. There was enough changes going on that if it's going to happen, it needs to happen now.
Yeah.
So it was like ripping the plaster off now, and I think that has probably given me a better understanding of what it would be like to move on in future. So I'd like to see it just be whatever it could be, but with the honest intention of what it's supposed to be, helping people.
Yeah.
Just continuously push the status quo and don't be afraid to do something. So I think we're, not we as in Let's Talk, but I think society, we can be sometimes afraid to step outside of what is the norm. And I think you've almost got to be a bit punky about it and be like, why is everyone going left? Let's go right. Why is everyone going right? Let's go left. Let's have a look at what are people not doing. Keep challenging what people are not doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get myself in trouble now. Because one thing that riles me up, but at no end, is seeing people at award ceremonies patting themselves on the back for doing a great job, and suicide figures are through the roof.
Yeah.
So we're losing umpteen men every year. What people seem to forget is, these numbers are staggering, but these numbers are not the same guys as last year. These are fresh numbers.
Yeah.
Like, you look at these numbers, go, they've gone up X amount of percent.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, if it was drug usage or something, them statistics, a lot of them are carrying on from the
they would
year before.
They might still be
yeah.
But when you were losing people,
it starts fresh from as soon as you lose them. Yeah,
and I think sometimes
I've
that's
never actually
lost.
thought of him that way myself.
And then like that's when I ever like, and it's like, it's weird that you should say about like moving on. Like I'm constantly thinking about, will that time be obvious, or is it going to be like you outstay your welcome? So like, and I wouldn't want it to be too obvious, but then I wouldn't also want to be like, it's 30 years now, do you think you should move on? And but then it's like that thing then in me that is like, I lost a friend to suicide, and I'm not going to lie and say, we were the best of friends in the world, but the impression that he left on me was like, he just lighted up any room he's in, and fucking me, he would give it to me straight, right? He would like, if I felt like shit going in there, I was coming out there feeling fucking worse, like, but at the same time, like, it was a loving way. He only done it because he give a shit, right?
Yeah.
Like when I said about putting weight on, he fucking told me straight away. The other boys were a bit more gentle about it. He's like, you're getting fat. Cheers to that, Matt. I really needed to hear it. Like, I could just cut my fucking hair, let me go. And he was like, like I would literally travel over to Tonrevel, Tonopandi at the time, just to get my hair cut by him, because I knew he'd give it to me straight, like, and he'd take him fucking hours to cut my hair. And I'd be like, I ain't got that much to cut off. Like, and he'd just be fucking dressing me down, telling me what I need to change, what to do. And I'd be leaving it like, fucking hell, like. But I loved it at the same time. And then when he took his life, and it fucking hit me hard, because I realised then that our journeys were going on at the same time, and I avoided suicide, and he actually went ahead and took his life. And to me, I always live with the thing is of I can't afford another Matt. I can't afford to lose another Matt, and his name's Matthew Lewis. I don't know, you may even like know the boys who like, he's big into bodybuilding, to wrestling, this, that, and the other. And again, I think anyone's gonna have friggin' people who say nice things and horrible things about you, right? But loads, like, I didn't know how many people I knew that knew him as well. Like, he touched so many fucking people, like, and I just thought, this is not about me. I'm not trying to help myself to somebody else's grief. This is seeing his funeral and seeing bodybuilders, wrestlers, work boy, all these mad groups of people and you're like, none of us know each other, but we kind of know each other through Matt. And it's like, fuck, look at what you've done. I mean, you've managed to bring fucking weird groups of people together that as your friend, and you're not here to see it. And I just think, like, there was a lot going on, like, there's a lot of things going on that I don't know the full story of that led to him ending his life, and I think that's a lot for a lot of people. But for me, running this that's still that burning thing of, can't afford to lose another Matt. And these are not just 600 odd men a year or whatever it is, or 6,000 men a year, whatever the figure is these are families, these are husbands, these are fathers, sons, brothers, uncles. You know what I mean? It's like I said, these are fresh people every year, and we just like, you know,
It's just become normalised.
yeah, like the stats come out through ONS, and you know, all the organisations jump on it and say how bad it is, that and the other, and things have got to be done. And I'm like, yeah, but look who's got the money. The same guy's complaining, and you got the money.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? What are you doing to make a difference? Like, you know, it's like, and you could sit me in a room and show me all the evidence you want. Something's not fucking working. Something is not working until. And you can reduce them figures all you want. Until that figure is 0, you're not doing a fucking good job. Like, for as long as them figures increase, it's gonna fucking piss me off. Like,
Yeah.
because it's. And I don't know any of those. I don't know. Like, I can't say I know personally anyone who's in those particular figures. But it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
It's just the fact that it's happened and they're going up. And it's the same with self-harm is increasing. Suicide figures in women is increasing. It's all across the board, and it's not coincidence that we're in the fucking state that we're in this country, and figures are going through the roof. Like,
What do you think, if what you can't really put it down to one thing, but if you got to the core, to the main reason, what do you think it is of increasing suicides?
I think the easy answer would be social media,
Yeah.
but I think it is
In sort of
I think it's the comparison
false
thing.
lives, kind of.
Yeah, the false narrative.
False
And
narrative,
I think we sell this beautiful people dream.
yeah.
And I think that more increasingly men are being affected by it too. And I think I've heard men make comments, and I think that for me it's a realization of, if men are speaking the way they're speaking, how fucking bad has it been for women all these years that have been essentially body shamed from children?
Yeah.
And I think what I find that there's an over sexualization of everything. There's over indulgence of everything. Everything is maxed out. And I think that
To a point where most people can't get to.
yeah,
in their
it's
lives.
unattainable.
Yeah.
And you see, funny enough, I watched a video last night about MTV Cribs being fake, as if we were all fucking surprised.
Yeah.
And they were saying about the amount of people that rented homes, and it's like, well, yeah, who was watching at the time for that? And I'm thinking, but that's not the point. We weren't the demographic they were aiming at that time at our age. But you think about what that probably did to some youngsters' minds when they go like, oh, I'll be a rapper and I get a massive house and all these cars. They rented them. You know, and
then they get into the music industry and get all their money took by the...
and they get put in these stupid contracts. And you know, it's like, I think people think that there's loads of this celebrity lifestyle. I think that we could very easily look at somebody and make a judgment. Like I said to you that about the guy Liam who had from Love Island.
Yeah.
Like, that was eye-opening as fuck to me, but I listened to it twice because I was so taken in by what he was saying that I was like, fuck, this you know, good-looking guy, and you think...
Alright, that guy, right, Liam, I know him pretty well. He's got fucking everything. You might look at it and some people might seem like they got everything, but he's 6'6". He's handsome as fuck.
I got nothing.
He's in shape, right? He got fucking shoes like ass. I can't imagine what's in his pants.
I thought
he got everything, man. He's
but
just one of the lucky ones.
But you know what? He didn't come off like that though.
No,
he's very
he's
down to earth,
nicest guy.
And I've been guilty of it, but you know,
grateful to meet
yeah. And if you see, like I said, I listened to it twice because I was so taken in by what he was saying, the way he's speaking, and the way you both spoke about things. Same with Liam Williams, and you know, and it's easy to have a conversation with the guy because of who you are and the way you are, right? But anyone can sit opposite you and be an absolute cunt for the sake of it, right? You can, because some people are just that way, right? And then it's for you then to try and navigate around that. And he was far from that, right? No, but I could look at Love Island and go, fucking knobs. Yeah. That's my problem. That's not his problem.
I've never even watched Love Island.
No, me, but
I've seen one or two when he was on it, because he was on it, because he was boxing up our gym, or training up our gym. And that's the only reason why I put one or two on. And just oh my God, it feels like there's a drill going through the side of my head. I just can't listen to him. Like, he was great, but all the others, it's not for
like,
me.
I enjoyed, though, right, that I had myself checked by listening to him. Because, like, I would have made a judgment of that boy based on, oh, he's a Love Island thing. And far from that, like, and probably now I've said this now, he's so fucking big and hard, I shouldn't have fucking said it. You know what I mean? I am saying it from a nice place, because I had to sit there and go, you prick, like, you don't know that. But I didn't make a judgment of him prior to listening, but it's the judgment of Love Island.
Yeah, where did it come from?
And he would have been cast under that umbrella for no reason. And I really had to, like, sit there and go, what do you know? What do you know about him? Like, you know fuck all about the boy.
Yeah.
And I'm listening. And I was like, fuck, you've been a right knob.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't judged him, but you have judged him.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it again then, almost like back to back. So listen to him now, because you've already been corrected. Let's actually hear him now.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's one of the things, you're happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then again, with that, we're living in a perfect world where we're not allowed to be wrong. And people can't be wrong. There's nothing I love more than being fucking wrong, because that's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, learn, yeah.
But then it's about being corrected and not being wrong. It's like, you can be wrong about something, but learn to be corrected. And I think that we can't be living in shame. And I think shame is a massive problem.
Like, where we got from, when you said social media, if you listen to Liam and how obsessive people are of him and Millie, because just they've been on the show.
But
right? So they know him from social media, and they follow in their lives, completely obsessed with these two people they've never met in their lives. And then when they see him out, they're acting like, do you know what I mean? Like as if the world have just, all the Christmases just come to one.
You know, giving him anxiety. But imagine the random people that will come on to him, and I'm not sure if he said this or alluded to it, or whether it's something I've pieced from something else, but like, it's almost like you now owe them something because they watched you on telly.
Yeah.
And I think he said about, I voted for you, so like I kind of like...
Yeah.
And again, but he fucking handled that brilliantly, because the way he worded it was like, he's fucking got a great point, because he's not saying, I think you're an arsehole because you think that I owe you something, but he's like, I don't owe you something. Like, I just, we're on a fucking telly, like, you know what I mean? It's like, like, it's one of them things. I didn't ask you to fucking vote for me. I didn't ask you to watch me. It's like, I went on there for whatever reasons he went on there, and now you've seen me out in public. And it must be fucking alarming, like, especially if you're with your missus.
Oh yeah.
And then she's getting the same treatment, and you know, and then you know what I'm saying, but people who are hurt other people, so they go on social media to cause shit because they're not happy. But what do they blame? They blame the people who are happy, or at least look like they're happy. So what does everyone do? Everyone looks happy.
Yeah.
It's like the best thing I ever done, but is stop putting shit on social media about what I'm doing, because I thought nobody gives a fuck, and I don't want anyone to know anyway. So like, I've never been happier, like, in that regard. Like, it's mad when you stop appeasing other people, you get happier. Like, you just fill in a hole that never fills up. You're just constantly just pouring into this fucking black hole that never fills. Like.
So when you said social media was the easy answer, what do you think is the deeper roots?
I think it's this lack of compassion, and I think in the valleys we have a lot of it. But I think that
do you think that's something that's come from social media as well?
Yeah,
some kind of soak from that.
I think that this divided us. I think that we've come from mining communities. That, don't get me wrong, like my father would say to me, like, you know, when everyone in the street didn't have a pot to piss in, but like,
you'd share the pot.
And like, you know, at the end of the day, you like, you know, like the next door neighbour would come in and they'd be fucking puffing away in their fags, drinking 14 cups of tea, slagging off the other neighbour down the road, and then she'd pop in and then they'd slag the other neighbour off, then she'd pop in and they'd add somebody else on. But yet, the minute that neighbour comes in and says shit's at the fan, they'd be there.
Yeah.
And it's like, we haven't got to be perfect, but let's remember we're not fucking perfect. So I'm not saying fucking slag off your neighbours, you know what I mean? If it comes to that they fall, and fucking help them up, don't shame them for it.
Yeah.
We're all too quick. Like you said about capitalising on people who are homeless, taking photos and videoing you fucking helping them. Great, I'm glad you're helping them, but don't do it for likes and shares and the pats on the back about it. What are you thinking and what you're doing when there's nobody around to see you? Because
so you think we've all become selfish as a generation?
I think so, and I think it's come from. I don't think it's meant ill intended. I think it's come from self-preservation. I think we've all been turned against one another through bad politics,
Divide
bad
and conquer.
times. Look at fucking the lockdowns, but that just
And your neighbours
were
were phoning the police on people.
and it was the fear of what would happen to them, I think,
Yeah.
that then turned people to act in ways that they would never normally act. And I think it's that thing of, and I'll never excuse it. You know what I mean? Like, if I'd seen somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing, it's not my fucking business. I haven't seen it. The number of things, when I was in my previous job, number of shit I hadn't seen, shall we say, it's not my business. You know what I mean? It's not my business.
Or the phone shop.
No. When I was working with the homeless people,
Right,
the guys in the hostels, and you know, it's like the number of things I haven't seen. Like, you know, it's like, and I think as well, obviously part of it is the fear on my end. Fucking hell, if I grass somebody up, I don't want to be the fucking receiving end of what can be coming. But also, it's not my business.
Yeah.
It's fucking enough people got to realise that as well. That people, and I'm not excusing go off and crack up and do a crime and then get away with it. And I'll keep my mouth shut because crack on, do what you want. Like, it's more about who are you hurting in that moment. And most of the stuff is they're only hurting themselves. I can advise you not to do what you're doing, but I'm not going to be here and shame you about it. Because 2 years ago I was pouring drink down my neck to no end, to the same level that you were sticking coke up your nose or sticking a syringe in your arm or smoking spice. How am I any different? Like, did you see the Gabo Mate interview with Theo Von?
I watch a lot of Theo Von, but I don't know a lot of his...
he's a physician, he is, Gabo Mate.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's I think it's about 2.5 hours long. It's fucking phenomenal. He's been on Joe Rogan a number of times.
Yeah.
Like, every time I listen to him, it's like he just opens a new part of your brain to like experiences. And he was talking about trauma, and he was saying about like it comes from the word for wound. I think it's like a Latin word for wound. And he says basically people are walking around wounded, and Theo, you know, Theo's like straight to the point. Isn't he? So it's like having a cut in your leg and somebody keeps poking it, and he's like, yeah, basically. And I was like, it's taken him, the genius, to say it to Theo, who I think is way smarter than what he makes out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And for him to just like dial it down, or is it like poking a cut on your leg? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, that makes so much sense. I always say about people bleeding on other people, and you've got to be careful you really say that too. But you know when people are hurting, and then they bleed on other people. Like, imagine I come in here now and I just offload loads of trauma on him and go, cheers for that, I'm off now. Well, in my eyes, I've just harmed myself and just poured it all over you. I've now made my problem your problem. Yeah. And sometimes that can't be helped. People don't have the self-awareness to not do that. So it's about, you know, protecting yourself at that point. And I think that people are walking around with these unresolved wounds, and they probably don't even realise they got it, from childhood problems, like relationship problems, jobs, you know. You imagine, like we said about cost of living crisis, imagine the pain of losing your job in the midst of a cost of living crisis, not knowing how you're going to warm your house, feed your kids. That's a grief of losing your job. Now you got the thing of, as a male adult as well, especially, we still got this thing of, I have to be the breadwinner, I have to provide. Yeah. And one of the things that we've got to do is take away the shame of that. And I know it's not normal even now to see like stay-at-home dads, but if that's the way it works for that family, then let it work. But Gabo Mate was saying about like addiction in particular, like it's a big subject for him. And he was saying that he was helping people who were addicted to heroin and this, that and the other. And he said he went to a real bad stage of buying CDs. Like, he would literally spend thousands of pounds on CDs a day, and then he'd hide them.
Well, like an addiction to CDs, like, buying CDs.
Yeah, he said the thought of going into a record
there's worse
store.
things to be addicted to.
Yeah. And he said that he was hiding them in his loft because his missus couldn't get up there, so she could never see they were up there. And he said, literally, I would be like storing CDs I'd never play, never look at again.
What, like DVDs or like music?
Music CDs, yeah. So he said that like the thought
of like... How do you
like,
even come to get addicted to buying music CDs?
So what he was saying is it's the dopamine rush he'd have from making a purchase. And he said you get a dopamine hit from the fact that I've bought something. And he said, but then he said he latched onto that feeling, and he said like he would get like really like fluttery excited about like, I can buy some CDs.
Like gambling, really?
Yeah. And he said what happens is, he said, you're not necessarily addicted to the substance, you're addicted to the dopamine it gives you. And he's speaking to this one lady who was a heroin addict, and he said, like, what was it about it? And she said it was like a warm embrace. And so he started looking into dopamine, and he was saying that basically it was something along the lines of your dopamine levels, essentially, like, it contributes to your motivation. So, like, if you don't have dopamine in your system, if it's like rock bottom, you're not going to eat, you're not going to want to sleep, you're not going to want to go out anyway, and all these things. And he said it's linked. So, like, for us to get on now, there is a dopamine thing going on. Like, you get a dopamine hit, I get a dopamine hit. Like, when you lock eyes with your kids, there's this weird thing that happens to them you can't explain. And he said it's a dopamine rush. He said the same as when you fall in love, it's dopamine that is driving all of these things. And he said, so I was basically addicted to the dopamine rush of this childish excitement of buying CDs. And this one addict turned on and went, see, you're no different to us, you, Doc. And he said it was like this light bulb moment. And he starts laughing, and he's laughing with Theo gets it. Cause he was he's like, yeah. And
so, you know, when he says, my favourite weed was cocaine.
And it's like that pause he puts in there.
Yeah.
And it's like when he's
and he looks down like
when he does that, you know something's coming.
Yeah,
like,
he's brilliant.
Like when he's on Rogan and he's on about eating owl, I'm like, did he just say he's eating owl? He's like, I'm not sure you're supposed to say allegedly.
I was what he said. Oh, we didn't have much, he said.
And when he's on about that kid with no arms, but he choke people out with his neck, and he's like, oh. And then the way he's doing the actions, like, if I was anyone else, they would be cancelled.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, Theo, and you know,
he's so innocent when what he's saying as well. He just puts the way his mind will work a situation out, but he says it out loud, and it shouldn't make sense, but it does.
But I know he says things like, I get what you mean, like, because when I seen Gabo Mate was on there, one of the boys sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this could be really interesting, like, because they're both interested in their own rights, but what a, like, meeting of minds. And then I put it on, but it was like, fuck.
Another good one is Tucker Carlson.
As in his podcast, or
with Theo Von.
I didn't even know
he goes on Theo Von's. That's a brilliant one.
I didn't even know he did it. Like,
absolutely brilliant.
Because literally this one was sent to me, like, and I said, oh yeah, I'll get on to it, because I wanted to listen to see what Gabo had to say, but then also because I wanted to see how Theo's mind unpicked everything.
Well, he done a podcast with Donald Trump before Joe Rogan, and you can imagine putting them two together, and he was bringing up his coke addiction and stuff.
And funny enough, he was on about, like, he was saying, like, Gabo Mate said that Trump is a sort of an obvious case of somebody that's gone through trauma. And then in all fairness, Theo again, like, very sensitively handling. Say, I think it was his brother had an addiction problem.
Trump's brother, I think.
Yeah. So he was like talking about that, and then, like, I'm not sure if Gabo Mate was fully aware of that, but then it kind of like his experience took over, but then and like just changed.
Was he alcoholic? Was it? Because I think that's why he don't drink.
Yes, yeah. And Theo brings that up really respectfully, and then Gabo kind of changes direction a little bit then to be like, look, I'm not going to throw him under the bus and say, like, he was just making an observation, but then didn't
want it to come across like he was trying to bring him down, sort of.
Yeah, so I think he didn't realise that it was, or maybe he'd forgotten that it was deep rooted. I think, you know, I mean, we're all carrying a bit of something. You know, we've all lost someone. We've all gone through some shit in our lives. We've all made mistakes. And back to what can we do to, and it's an impossible ask, is be more compassionate.
Yeah.
We need to be more understanding. If somebody makes a mistake, allow them to make a mistake and not shame them about it. We live in a society of shame. Like, we're happy to shame people, and I wonder how much of it is trying to lift ourselves up by knocking people down. But by knocking people down, you don't lift yourself up.
A lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. But you can't lift yourself up by pushing someone down. Like, you don't move anyway. You just put them down further. Like. But what you can do is lift them up to your level and make them feel better. And this is where it can get... And I've been challenged on this. You only help other people because it makes you feel better. Yeah, you're right. It does make me feel better. But it's not the only reason. I help people because I've been there. And I know there's a way out. And some people... Like one guy said, he came to my group and he says, I always feel like I'm in a tunnel. And I'm on the bend. I can't see the light behind me and I can't see the light in front of me. And I was like...
That's a good way to put it as well.
I said, but you know that you're on that bend. You know there's light there. So trust us that we've been through the light and we've come from the other side to get you. So trust us that we know the way we go in. And So yeah, there's an ounce of selfishness in it. Yeah, I get a lot out of helping people. But do you know how much I get out of them helping me?
Yeah.
Fucking loads, like. I get so much out of, like, the group last night. Busy as hell. Loads of conversation going on. Loads of views and opinions and angles on different subjects. And, you know, I had a joke about no politics, no football. Because if there's two things that's going to kick off a room, it's one of them two, right? And we have and I say religion as well, you know. None of let's not talk about the fiery subjects.
Yeah.
But I also football in it just to, like, go off on a bit of a laugh, like. And they take it well, like. But now and again it'll come up. But it's mad. It doesn't matter how many guys in the room you get onto tough subjects with different opinions, and it doesn't blow up. So
how
why
do
are we
you
fighting
start
online?
off? So obviously, like, you got all these men, they struggle with mental health, no fucker wants to talk about it. So you sit them all in a room together. What's the icebreaker that kind of starts it all off?
So depends who's there, because there's one or two guys that will lead by just through. Sometimes what happens is it'll be like one or two guys will start a conversation, like, oh, you know, how's your week been, and or like somebody will come in and, oh, I'll make the fucking coffee, and shall I, you know? Everyone wants a cup of tea
just
now.
Men being men.
You know, they'll come in like, oh, I'll fucking make a tea, and then nobody else fucking offered, you know. And like last time when the boys came in, and I set everything up. I hadn't boiled the fucking kettle, like, end of the world, right? And that sort of started off then, because there was a bit of banter going back and forth. That started off. But if it's a bit stale or like it's a bit quiet, started off as, and this came from Mike, who originally started the group, he would just literally say to them, how's your week been, guys? And what we found with that is you're not asking them, how are you? Because
directly.
Because they'll freeze up, or they'll go, when I was 6 years old, don't want to go back that far. Not. I'm not saying you're not welcome to talk about that. We don't want to start at that point when that's going to be bad for you. You might need to talk about that, but let's not start on that.
Yeah.
Let's start where we're at, and then we either figure out where we're going backwards, or then you go, oh, this is all stemmed from. But let's get your week out the way first, because we're not going to be able to unpack 37 years of shit that's happened to you. But we might be able to unpick those little bits that happened this week. But then each week then, you might start going back a little by little, and we can get that root cause a bit, and then I can advise you. You might need counselling, you might need this, you might have spoken to these people, spoken to your GP at a push, you know. So they always just start off as, how's your week been? And like anything, innit? Most men are like, oh, it was great till I seen you.
Yeah.
It's like funny coming back.
Because even men at the lowest point, like we said earlier on, even men at lowest points, we all still find some humour and stuff.
Oh, we are all
still find a way to abuse our friends.
No, but we are all little boys at heart.
Yeah.
We never. I heard somebody recently say, we never stop playing, and it's fucking true. Because you get those guys in our room, right, and most of them will be there for the first time, right, and they're insulting each other.
Yeah.
And not in a nasty way. It's almost like you've been on sites and stuff with people. Yeah. It's almost like you've got to get that out of the way to know where you stand. Because again, it's back to the mining thing. If you can insult someone and get on about it, you're fine. You know for a fact, right? You're right with it. Like if I come in there now and you're like, fuck me, Shaun, you put on some weight, didn't you fat bastard? Yeah. I'd laugh it off, right? Yeah. Or if you said me, you're a thick cunt, I'd laugh it off, right? Because I would be like, I kind of like that you could be that honest, right? And I'd never be offended. If somebody went up to me and said it in a straight way and was like, I'm gonna go, I'd be like,
oh, you fat bastard. It's different then.
What is it to you, like?
Yeah.
Because it depends then on how much you respect somebody's opinion. And also, so for guys, that's testing the waters a little bit. And what we find is, it starts off with a little bit of an insult, and they are normally the strongest bonds that get made up. Like, one of the boys comes to group, like, you know, he'll have a laugh and a joke, this, that, and the other, but you know, as soon as it turns serious, he'll fucking drop something in the conversation. You'll be like, fuck me, like, what an angle to have on something. Like, it's great to have him there, because and he's done loads for me personally on a one-to-one basis. Like, I was going through some shit recently, and I didn't really know I was going through it. And then what I normally do is I'm sat at the end of the table, like when I go in. So like when I can see the front door. So when they're coming in, it's always a face they can see. And this one week I sat at the back of the room after about half an hour, And he starts fucking picking me apart, like, just unravelling all my shit. And I was like, I ain't coming up this end of the fucking table again. I got all the more problems they come with. But you know what? Like, life has got much better now because he could see shit was going on with me. And he had the right ways of asking. And I didn't even know what he was doing until the night wrapped up. And I'm like, I'm not coming up this end of the fucking table again. Now he sits down fucking near to me, like.
Yeah.
And it's having those guys there then as well, like, you can trust, like, even though I know he's going to rip fuck out of you, and he'll rip fuck out of me, but it comes from a good place. Like, he will lift you up 9 out of 10 times, rather than, he wouldn't do nothing to insult you, to break you down, like. And loads of the boys in there, like, take a piss out of this one guy's parking, like, there's nothing fucking wrong with his parking, but now he's become, like, you're a shit parker, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, he's done nothing fucking wrong once, I don't think. Like, he just latched on him, you can't park for shit, you can't, like. And
especially this part of the valleys as well, our sense of humour and our banter is like, we got to get, it was a couple of months ago now, but this boy was always involved with banter, right? He's from Cardiff, right? But he's always involved with banter, giving it to everyone else, right? So he always had an hat on, and so he come and stood by us one day. And he didn't have an hat on, right? And he was receded.
Oh, no.
Right? And all his hair was thin, right? So my mate turned to him and said, fucking hell, you were one heavy sneeze away from a bald And the first time I've ever heard that, right? You're one heavy sneeze away from a baldy's head. And this boy, he was fuming. He was tamping. But he's always involved with when everyone else is about the joke. It was funny. Yeah. But when it was on him, and I just think down here in the Rhondda Valleys, we got a different type of connection, sense of humour. Yeah. And the way we joke about with each other, like.
I just say one of the boys in work that I work with, he's one of the wellbeing coordinators, and he's fucking, he got heart of gold, right? Like salt of the earth type of boy, right? But we're gonna get split up in work soon, right? Because I don't see him that often. We talk all the time, right? But we're in meeting, but right, we're fucking about constantly, right? Yeah. Talking back and forth about shit, right? Like, we'll make a comment about stuff, right? And it's just childish shit, right? But not to hurt anyone, not like bullying anyone. It's about like observational shit about what's going on. And we're just trying to make each other laugh, right? So we're not like going, like, picking on a person and taking a piss out of people. He'll just make a joke about the situation, or I'll do it to him. And I always say to him, something about you fucking Rhondda boys, like, you just got this, there's this humour, right, that, and it's a different humour in kind of Valley and Aberdeen, right? Yeah. That is similar, but there's something about Rhondda humour, right? That he just fucking just gets me, right? And I just think sometimes, right, if I was working heavily around, like, Rhondda boys, I'd be fucked, I'd be out of a job, because all I'd be doing is laugh all day. Because, like, I'd never get nothing done, right? And all of the boys I've ever known, like, from Rhondda, there's a thread through you all, right? Yeah. It's fucking unique, right? But I love it, right? Because it's so it's honest as fuck, right? Yeah. You'll be fucking told what the truth is. But there's a warmth with this. You don't know sometimes if they're fucking about or whether they're being serious. Yeah. But it don't matter because it's all said in jest. Like, funny enough, like, you saying I'm ugly, or do you mean I'm ugly? Yeah. And like we said about the boy being from Cardiff, like, when I was working in Cardiff for an insurance company, I just didn't get the humour. They'd tell a joke, they'd laugh, and I'd be like, where's the punchline? Yeah. I'd be waiting for, like, the joke.
It only goes to a certain level before, you know what I mean? They can't get anything that, like with personal insults and stuff, where we find it in areas.
Yeah, like where their limit is, start, like, ending. Our start is up here, like, you wouldn't last 2 minutes. Like, like, I'm going, like, that was an insult. Or I thought that was a compliment. Yeah. Like, just work. Yeah. And like, it's just, and again, they probably looked at us and go, like, why was that funny? But again, it is something
completely different
unique about boys from Rhondda, like, or any fucking from Rhondda. It's just this unique humour that I fucking love. Like, I think it's just different. Like, and I think it's like the last sort of hope of proper Valley community, because I think in Callan Valley there's pockets of the community like that still left. like I always say about Penryn Khyber, there's a very strong community feeling in Penryn Khyber, or at least I see that from my work down that way, and outside of looking in, I still feel like it's very much a community feeling. Perth Celyn is the same, Penwine is the same, pockets of it. But when I think of Rhondda, I think of community wide scale, and I know there's obviously going to be like pockets of communities that don't get on, or like, oh, they're from up our way, they're rough they are, but if you insult somebody from Rhondda, they're fucking from Rhondda all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, whereas somebody from, like, Aberdeen go, I'm not from Mountain Ash, how fucking dare you, like?
Yeah.
I'm not from Cunnon Valley, don't Cunnon Valley me, I'm from Aberdeen, like, come on, like. But if somebody went, I'm from Rhondda, you get a feeling of, like, there's a pride still there.
Yeah.
And same with people in Merthyr, but I feel there's a Merthyr pride, and there's a feeling of people that say, I'm from Merthyr first. Whereas somebody from Cunnon Valley would say, I'm from Aberdeen. I'm from kind of...
I work with a lot of Merthyr boys, because I'm on the railways. I don't think there's a man in Merthyr that doesn't work on the railways. And they are proud people to be from Merthyr.
But again, there's a sense of humour from Merthyr that is unique to Merthyr.
Yeah.
And it can be tricky to get a grip of it first. But then when you get it, you fucking get it. Like, and it's that thing of, like, you can't have fucking thin skin, like, you know?
They'd always say, like, oh, this guy might have an horse. Yeah, he got the fastest horse in Merthyr. If a car drives past, oh yeah, he got the shiniest wheels in Merthyr. It's always in Merthyr. They always finish with in Merthyr, like, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant to be around all the boys and have a laugh when you're in work. But
that unique thing that works between, like, you know, you coming from different backgrounds and whatnot, but there's enough similarity to go, you know, we haven't got to sit down and have a fucking lovey-dovey conversation. What have we been through? What have I been through? We all have to do a job. We're all from individual different valleys. We've all had fucking similar upbringings in some ways. We've all been through a primary school that's got a copy and paste fucking model of it. That went from the 80s to the 90s and then drastically changed in the 90s, and now is even more fucking weird. Yeah. So we just call it that. Like, and we've all, like, you speak to somebody from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and 90s, they've all got these joint experiences of what school life was like. And you get into, like, work and you start meeting people and you gravitate towards people. And it's something about Valleys folk. You go to fucking Antarctica and you bump into a Welshman. And you're like, I fucking know that accent anyway. Where is he? They were in the polar bear, I know for a fact. Like, and you'll find him. I can remember being in Florida and I just heard this accent coming from a mile away. I'm like, I fucking don't know where he is, but I'm gonna find him. Like,
yeah.
And then he stood next to me in the queue, and I said something. And he went, "Fuck off!" Like, he said, "You were definitely from Mount Dewar."
That's the way you speak. Fuck off. Yeah. Fuck, you ain't from fucking.
And I was like, "Where are you from?" And he went, "Where do you think I'm from?" I was like, "Oh, that's a fucking loaded question. I just gotta be careful when it's on the other foot." And I jokingly went, "Perth Celyn." And he went, "Fucking hell, won't give it away." I said, "I seen you nicking something in the shop, right?" And he's like, "I'm genuinely from fucking Perth Celyn." He said, "I lived all my life. I have a fucking clue who he is. Never shared names or nothing." But that's what, like, drives missing nuts. Who's that then? I got a fucking clue. Just started talking to him. Just like,
she don't understand, like, how can you
spend hours with somebody? Yeah. And like, who's that then? Oh, I don't know. I have a fucking clue. I have a fucking clue he is. Like, I've been, like, I no doubt yourself, and like when you've been in fucking like boxing gyms and all that, you can spar like fuck with somebody. Who's that? I think he said his name is Rob.
Yeah.
Dan, you mean? Oh, Dan. Yeah, it's Dan. Dan, was it fucking Dan? Would I spar him the first time? I fucking know. Yip yard though. He's like, yeah, it was Dan. Yeah. He's like, oh. I fucking clue it was. He fucking hit me. That's all I know. Like,
I've been in, and that's how men connect. Men connect in our way as well. Man. Yeah. Violence.
No fucking clue what their job is. No clue if they got any kids. No clue what their name is. See you again, but
let's punch each other in the face for a bit of fun.
And I think that again is that we're losing a bit of that in our society. We're losing a bit of, like, it's okay to be hands on and be a bit rough and tumble. And I'm not saying it's okay to go out and hit people or be aggressive, but I think we shy away from anger a lot, and then that comes out in like, if you think about an anger iceberg, like, anger is the thing that you see on the surface. Underneath all things like shame and sadness, all these other things that present as anger, which then gets turned into aggression. But if we're able to allow anger in the first place and deal with it correctly, you know, we can be okay about people going to boxing gyms and kickboxing or doing jiu-jitsu and things like that. And I think there should be things like this in school. I think they should be mandatory. Like the effect of wrestling has in American schools. I'm not saying like, you know, they're to the extreme of everything. You know, I'm not saying like the whole weight cutting thing is healthy or nothing like that, because there's dangers to it all. And obviously sparring it has its own risks, you know. But like, if you teach somebody how to fight or defend themselves, better put, then the likelihood of them wanting to hurt somebody decreases massively. Because I went from being angry, not knowing how to deal with it, to being given tools to defend myself, and the anger dissipated. It's just like, how come now I've got the tools to do something with it, I don't want to do it. I don't want to use it in any way. And one of the things that really stood out to me was a cop. I was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he said about coppers being given a gun, and he said the problem is when you give somebody an armour, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And I felt like...
Oh, and that's true as well, right? Because you know where I work, we used to be bored sometimes in a compound, right? And you know when there's an armour lying around, you're just looking for stuff to hit with.
Or you start making stuff to break, like.
Yeah.
It's just like, it is this thing in us, like, I always say men are fixers, right? Like, if like, there's the whole thing about, like, your missus has a come home from work or something, maybe she's offloading, and you've got to try and resist trying to fix the problem.
Yeah.
Because women are very good at fixing the problem and then whinging about it later. Whereas men will whinge like fuck about it and then go fix it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think that's when like, you know, men are like, oh, fucking dying, go man flu, all that. And they're like, oh, just fucking die already. Shut up, like, you know, you fucking, I had the same cold, you see me? But like, they'll get on with it, they'll take their fucking tablets, they'll do this, that, the other, then they'll have a whinge about, oh, I feel like shit, see, go bed early. We'll lie down all day dying, 10 o'clock at night then, better take some night nurse. Like, what fucking, you've been dying for 12 hours, what are you doing now, like? and I think that's just the way we are, we're fixers, but like, we're like, you know, we'll have a fucking whinge about it, and then we'll get on with the fixing business, like, but women will fix it first, then complain about it, and we're like, she wants help with this, I better give her the best advice possible. And then they throw it back at you going like, how can you assume that I haven't figured this out already? And you're like, well, I thought you were telling me because you wanted me to help you.
Oh, there's no winning, is it?
No. And like, I've learned that the hard way, and I've said to him like, you already figured this shit out. And she was like, fucking 9 years it's taken you to figure that out. Like, 9 years it's taken you to figure out. I've already dealt with it. I just want to offload the shit part now. And then obviously, she's like, you know the organisation called Let's Talk? You know that bit about listening to people? Can you just do that bit now? And I'm like,
how was she when, do you ever spoke to about her and her feelings about when you was going through yours?
Selfishly, no. Like, I tried, but she's like a closed book, and like, she's very good at offloading it to friends. And that's not an excuse. I'm not saying that that's okay, and she should be able to do that, and that be the only option. She should be able to do that.
Your name is fucking dirt in the WhatsApp group, like.
and do you know what? I couldn't be mad if it was, right? Because the amount of shit that she's put up, I never fucking hit her or anything like that. I mean, I'm not fucking like, I'm putting her through shit like that. Like, fucking see an old man you want, but I'd never be fucking seen again if he wouldn't find a part of me. But he's proper old school fucking hard man. Like, you know, he's quiet, but like, one handshake with him, but I knew what I stood like. It's like, oh fuck, his
fingers are in bits.
Like, fuck it, he's strong, like, you know. And but it's about having that respect for somebody anyway. Like, I've never lost respect for her in any way. My problems got bigger than us, essentially. Like, I was out of work for 6 months. She was basically working every hour under the sun. And then she was obviously dealing with being a mum at home with like the little one, and then balancing. She's working, I'm looking after him, but then she's juggling that I'm a fucking mess, like, and I'm looking after a kid essentially. But weirdly enough, it's those days where you know that boy has only got you somehow get your shit together. And then the days when she's home, I'd fall apart again. And it took me months to figure that out. So she had a hell of a lot of fucking stress from the time of me obviously going on the decline, experiencing the low, then experiencing me having to come back out of it, and then you're experiencing the fucking holier than thou business of, oh, I'm better now, I can help other people, and that's all that. So she had to go through a lot, and then by the time I probably would have been ready to start talking about it with her, we found out she was pregnant. And then we had Ollie and discovered that he had bilateral cleft lip and palate.
Oh,
so all that was being dealt with at the same time. And again then, is her feelings get put on hold again. Because now it's about the baby that's coming. And it's, one thing you quickly learn when you go into pregnancy is that as a bloke, they don't want to anyone, not your partner, the midwives, nurses, whoever it is, they couldn't give a shit that you're there.
No.
You're an inconvenience just existing.
Yeah.
And they make it very clear in every interaction, you shouldn't be here. Yeah. And it's like, you do understand how the baby gets there, right? You don't have to go through that, do we? Like, because you were the midwife, you know what happens, and I don't really want to go through that conversation with somebody I don't know, like. And but they treat you like shit, and I think that is something that needs to be resolved as well from a men's side to help us sort of be involved more. I think we are better at that as new generations, but I think that we are just as fucking clueless having kids, whether it's your first or second.
Yeah.
And then when you add in something then like your cleft lip and cleft palate is a very how do you put it? It's a very easy thing to deal with from a medical standpoint. The surgeries you can have. There's a lot of complications come with it. He goes through speech therapy. He's conscious about the little scars he's got. He's very sensitive about like when you like try to help him clean his nose or like wipe his face after food and things. He's very conscious about things like that, even though he's only 5 going 6 now in a couple of weeks' time, that he's still conscious about it. And as a parent, you don't ever want to feel like your kids are like worried about anything.
No, yes.
But before all of that, when they're just we're told like there's an issue when she had the 20-week scan. So we were going to find out it was a boy or a girl, and they said there's something going on.
Oh, they picked it up on the scan, did they?
She looked, the person doing the scan, like, had a look like multiple times, and you could feel the atmosphere in the room started like nosedive, and it was like, what's going on here? Something's not right, but we didn't know what was wrong, and then she was like, well in tune, picked up on it, and she said, I'm just going to go and get the sister to come and have a look. I'm like, fucking hell, you going like, after the ward sister to have a look at it. And then she come back with the sister and another like whoever does the scans, and they were just like, yes, and yeah, it looks, we could have a conversation now. Just so she straight up was like, what's wrong? She's getting upset. She's like, oh, don't cry, nothing's wrong per se. We're just seeing that there's some sort of abnormalities, looking like there's something like doesn't seem right with his facial structure. With nothing like super serious, but we don't know what. Now, the thing that pissed me off with it was when we got taken into the side room then to have a chat to the sister and explain that it could be a number of things. So cleft came up on the list, and she got Down syndrome. And she said, do you want to consider termination? Like, sorry. All of those things you've just mentioned, nothing. Get a Down syndrome and you want to say about termination. And she didn't seem to have any issue with saying that. And on both sides of my family, there's individuals with Down syndrome who lived very fucking good lives. Very happy, loving people, lived very good life. One of them is still alive. He has, lives a good life, and has brought umpteen memories to people's lives. Dancing at fucking discos and whatnot, family parties, weddings and all that, right? And never ever treated anything less than a person in the family. So it's not like, oh, he's got Down syndrome. It's, that's just Paul. That's just how he is. He's fucking bad, man. Like you'd say about anybody else who didn't have it is fucking bad. They wouldn't speak about him any different. And then you want to turn around and say to me, do you want to consider termination at the possibility it might be Down syndrome? And that really stuck me. I was like, you've got no connection to this child, and the only judgment you're making is that it might have Down syndrome. And I understand there are complications that can come with that. But who are you to decide that should be the next step? And it was like, she was saying consider it, and it felt like she was trying to push us in that direction.
Was it?
And then it was a bit of a blur after that, and then we left tamping about it, especially me. And then as we were leaving then, so my missus, one of my best friends, is a midwife, or a health visitor now, and she's seen her leaving crying, and she said, go up with it and we'll have a chat, this one or the other. And then she was just like, that should never happen. I should never speak to you like that. Like, that's not how we advise anyone to do shit like that. So then Clapper then arranged for you to have like the 4D scans, they call them. They arrange you to go and have that done for free, essentially. And then they can get a full scan of what's going on. And within minutes of, it was fucking hard to get hold of him. He's like, don't keep fucking still now. Like, they just, like she said, this kid is fucking wild. Like, he just doesn't keep still. Like, every time I catch a glimpse of his face, he's moving.
Yeah.
And remember, she's like, he literally has hardly moved all day. And now he's like awake and going for it, like. And she went, it's normally like they feel the cold from the gel and it activates, something's going on, like. So she said, it's our own fault in a way, she said, because the gel's so cold, it's stimulation. And they're like, something's happening, let's play, like. And he turned, and I remember going, oh my God, he's flipped. And she was like, I got his face. And I'm like, she went, it's cleft. It's cleft lip and cleft palate, definite. She said, 100% it's that. Run us through all of like what that could mean based on her knowledge of it. And she said, they'll get in contact with you. And the following day, Clapper was in our house, like, having a chat with us about it.
Oh, really?
And just so normalised everything. He was showing us pictures of like post-surgery and whatnot. So when he was born, this part of his lip, and you know, like where your two front teeth come through, so that was split. So it was essentially like a nub of gum, and it was all sticking out. So he had like this part of his lip was like up there on his nose, and then the gum was sticking outward. And he was like that for about 6 months. And he had his first surgery, and they connected both parts of the lip. And the surgeon also done part of his palate at the same time. So he'd done half of his palate, which he said is not common, but because of, you know, like how elastic kids' skin and things heal. He said, I took a little sample to see how it stretches. He said, and it was like, I can do this now. So he did half of it then, and then he's gone through a number of surgeries and had it repaired, and you can see that he's had something done, but it's not like
what it used to be.
Yeah, like
it used to be a really, big scar.
Yeah. And like they give you this cream stuff to help the healing, and he was murdered to keep that on. So it's still a bit pink, like, but not as bad as it was. We can see obviously way clearer because we can see exactly where the lines are. And he had to have it redone. He had it like, because they stretch a muscle across, the one muscle hadn't connected properly. So like when he's doing speech therapy, his lip wasn't fully moving. So he's had to go through all of that. And again, and you're thinking like, fucking hell, he's gone through all that before 5. Like,
yeah.
I think that those lessons I take from that as well, and well, you can be fucking way more resilient as a parent, you know, by learning from your kids, like, and I think, and trying to identify what are we knocking out of our kids before they become adults, because like, and you might know yourself, no two kids are the same. No, they're never the same, and that's to the better and worse of having them. Like, you got to have an all new fucking rule book for the second one, and that's fun. Like,
my second one, my eldest, as you know, he's autistic. He's 8, coming up 9 now next month. And my one-year-old is a complete opposite, right? And he's an absolute nutcase.
It's mad,
he's so switched on. He went to the doctors earlier on, funny enough, because he wasn't very well. And she said, that's a 5-year-old in a 1-year-old's body. Because he went in, right, he grabbed a thing to put on his finger.
What?
And he's only been a couple of times, but what is it, the pulse, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, went to put that on his finger, grabbed a thing to put in his ear, and as she said, it's unbelievable. he's running round, he's just a lunatic, absolute lunatic. He'll find anything to grab and come into it. And none of them are the same. Like my stepdaughter, she's a nut as well. But the 3 of them are complete different kids.
But at the same time, it's nice though, isn't it?
Oh,
because
awesome,
you wouldn't want them to be. What I say is, I wouldn't want them to be carbon copies of me or my partner. No, and I wouldn't want
definitely
them to be
don't want them to be a carbon copy of me. Go think of anything worse.
But like, again, then right, it's having that awkward thing as a parent as well of going, I want these to grow up and correct all the mistakes that I've made. Yeah. But then trying to prevent as many mistakes as you can. Like, you not just be like, go gung-ho, let them figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you want to be able to say to them, whatever it is you think I've done wrong, I'm happy to you tell me. And but then, because that'll help me support you as a parent to look after your children. Then I'll help you raise your children the way you want to raise them. Whereas it can feel sometimes like I don't speak to my mother or father because like he's a fucking knob. I've never really said it fucking publicly, but he's a fucking arsehole. Yeah. And he's got his own problems. Yeah, I've had my problems, but he never fucking dealt with his. And, you know, that's resulted in, I can't have my kids around that, you know? Now, my mother, she've always had this thing about, like, my weight is always a problem, right? And regardless how heavy or light I've been, when I was really fit, never acknowledged it. Put a pound on, put weight on now. Yeah, I put weight on.
Yeah.
And it's always about, like, why are you noticing how much weight I'm putting on, but never notice anything positive I do?
Yeah.
So I just cut them out, and life's never been happier. But what I don't like then is that there's things that I do as a parent that I know she undoes or does differently. And her argument is like, yeah, but I'm their grandmother, you know, I've raised my kids my way. And I'm like, yeah, and you can't see there's a reason why I raise them differently. Yeah. And I'm not trying to take away from, I'm going to say I'll assume you've done the best of what you were given. But appreciate that I'm taking those learnings to do it differently.
Yeah.
And I would want my kids to say, you weren't perfect, but you tried with what you had. And I'm going to be very open and honest, especially with Jacob, that I've fucked up a lot of things when he was like really little and lost my temper. And there's times now that at nearly 10 years old, I can't raise my voice. He shits himself.
Does he?
And that's not nice. Like, you know, I don't shout now, but sometimes you got to raise your voice just get fucking through the noise, like.
Yeah. And
I hate having to do that because of how I know it affects him, or if he thinks that he's in for a row. I'm trying to get him to understand there's no rows, there's no bollockings, so I've started this thing with him now, trying to trial something with him that, like, he's allowed to basically tell me to come and lie down in his bed, sit in wherever, and he's allowed time to basically dress me down. Tell me what he thinks I've done wrong. But it comes with a caveat as I'm allowed to then tell him why I've done it that way.
Yeah,
and
I think
to understand it from my angle.
To implement.
But the fucker's so switched on, but, right? He fucking dressed me down the other week in his bedroom now, right? Proper told me all the things I'd done wrong, right? And I just lay there going, I'm going to fucking answer for that.
Out there now.
And I just like... And I was just silent, and he was like, so, it's your turn now. I'm like, Jacob, I'm not going to lie to you, but I haven't got nothing to say. and he looked really disappointed. I'm like...
He was up for a debate.
Oh, but he was ready to take me apart.
He was ready to take you apart, yeah.
And I was like... didn't know what to say to him, right? So I was just trying to explain to him then that I don't think I've got the answers because I just haven't got the answers. So what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll think about it, and I'll come back to him with a response. Fuck me, let go, double barrel on me. But he had every answer under the sun ready to go, right? And I just said to him, I'm going to take everything you've just said on board. I appreciate it.
I'm going to come back again.
Yeah. I'm going to speak to my friends. Yeah. We're all going to gang up with you. And
you're fucking grounded till tomorrow.
Yeah. And I was downstairs and I was trying to like watch stuff on YouTube when she went to bed, and I was like, couldn't get it out of my head. I was like, and then I'm thinking, how long has he been silent? I didn't want him to think about it. I didn't want him ruminating on stuff. I wanted to bring it up as soon as it's a problem. And then he said something joking to me one day, and he said, I'm a therapist, see? I was like, bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. Because I'd be like, you're more like a knob, you know. Just to say, you know, again, men, you know, you can't not say something in response, right? And I bit my tongue. And I went, all right then, give me your best. But he started throwing questions at me, right? How fucking hell a 9-year-old is coming up with these questions? And I'm like, I can't answer these now because he's going to start picking things out of what I'm saying. Like.
Yeah.
And I was like, how was his mind working like at 9 years old? Like, I'm thinking...
when you send him to bed, he's upstairs like standing Eminem. Dear Dad, I wrote you, but you're still in calling.
Little do I know, he's listening to me and my missus' conversations upstairs.
Taking everything in, writing it all down.
So, tell me how your day's been at work today then. Any issues come up this week?
Kid's a brilliant man, isn't he?
It's, I just love their outlook on everything. Like, it's like, you know, 'cause I know he's not going to fucking listen to this. Like, you know the fucker's done, right? Every year for the last couple of years, he's been testing the Santa model, right?
Testing the what?
The Santa model.
Oh,
Santa
right.
real, right? How can I find out if Santa's real or not? Because one boy, a couple of years ago, said Santa's not real. Fucking broke his heart, right? So we've had to, like, say to him now, make a rod for your own fucking back, you know? Tell him all the ways why Santa's real and how certain things can happen. So he does this thing now where he writes a list that only his mother sees, right? So his logic is, I can't buy the presents because I don't know what they are. So it has to be Santa, or his mother's told me and then she's broken his trust. How in his head he thinks getting them presents on Christmas Day is going to answer that question. He hasn't figured that bit out.
Yeah.
He's fucking mixed it up this year, though. Put on his Christmas list, Santa, can you bring me a PS5 for my daddy? Which now means I got to buy a PlayStation 5 for my fucking self to write Santa on it. Just to keep up the fucking act. And on one hand, I'm going, great, I got a PlayStation 5. Now I never really thought about fucking buying it. But now I got to fucking spend out on a PlayStation 5 that I weren't even going to get, like.
Yeah, you better off just telling me he's fucking not real.
I know at that point, how much? Yeah, he's not real, but... I'm like, how much is therapy going to cost versus how much
About
is fucking... I'm like, fucking hell, who's educating these kids, like? It's fucking...
Oh, they switched on now, but... And especially, like, if you go to YouTube and stuff like that, there's everything on it, innit?
Scary, but... And, like, he started, like... he started playing the fucking Spider-Man game on PlayStation 4 from, like, years ago I bought it, like, and... I don't know why all of a sudden he just brought up, can I have a little go of it? What's the harm in it? Let's let him have a go. And within like minutes he's playing the game as if he's been playing it for years. I'm like, how the fuck do you just pick up a controller and know what you're doing? Like, what is this like? How do you just fucking pick it up and...
It's mad.
Like, it's not like when we saw Mario and like there's left, right, A and B, like, you know what I mean? It's not as simple as that, like. And I'm like, I haven't been fucking shown what to do, like, and you just, there's this instinct with them. It's just like, scary.
Evolution. Where we was evolving to kill mammoths and fucking hunt and fucking thing. Now we'd evolve into to play PlayStation games.
And I have this, like, you know what's like about? You stick a screen in front of a little kid, and automatically the thing of the screen is going to interact with them. They know to touch it. Like. There's a guy on YouTube that I see sometimes his videos. He's a game creator, and he was game testing at a convention, and so he had a keyboard and a mouse and whatnot, and he had an optional controller, and all the kids came up, and he said, "These I'm on like 18, 19 year olds," he said, and they touching my screen, and he's like, "How the fuck do I get this character to move?" And he's like, "The controller," and they pick up the mouse like this. Oh right, and they put in the mouse on the screen.
Ah, no way.
And he's like, oh, you've never used a mouse before, like, and they're like, oh, like those trackpad things on a laptop. He's like,
that never used to be on the fucking laptop. But
no, he's like, and he said like the fact that the only point of reference was a trackpad, and then some other ones didn't even know what a trackpad was, and he's like, you've only ever used screens, and he was trying to like educate these kids. And then they like see like an Xbox controller, like, oh, I can use that. But then they couldn't figure out how the Xbox controller was translated into a PC game. He was like, your PlayStation and your Xbox is essentially a PC.
Yeah.
And they couldn't.
That's all they are, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and he said it was bonkers that he's talking to 19-year-olds and they can't figure out how to use them. It's not a screen, like. Yeah. He said you take it for granted. You go to a cash machine. He said some of them are touch screen. Go to supermarkets, touch screen.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. And he said he never really, like... And he was wondering why nobody was testing his fucking game, like. Because they were coming up going, it don't fucking work, like.
It's like a phone. And they're putting most of the...
Well, yeah, phones, everything's touchscreen, like, you know. It's... And again, but it's that access... We've heard people say so many times, we've got so much access to people, and yet we're probably the loneliest we've ever been.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that's back to my social media point, is... It's the easy answer because it's the overarching problem. But it's not just social media, it's dating websites, it's gambling websites, it's all those things that are channeling you into solitude. We're all becoming these little lonely islands of people that are distancing themselves from everyone. And you look globally, but we've gone from... There's always been conflicts globally, but I mean, even down to like... A relationship with like a neighbouring country is now fuck them, you know. They're over there, like fuck them, you know. Not our problem. And there's a lack of compassion in that, and it's because like I don't watch the news. I always use the news as a blaming point, because you turn your telly on, and the news is on, and just it's fucking
and negative,
and it's always one side pointing at the other side, and it's like, do you know what? If you actually go in a room and discuss your problems, you'd probably go, fuck, we're coming from the same angle here.
Yeah.
It's just like, the blame is being pointed from one area of news to the other side going, they're to blame over there. But over there
just
always
the blame
changes.
game as well, just to just to take it off my back, I'm going to blame them, and then they're going to blame them, and then there's no solution is ever adhered to it.
No, and if you keep pointing the finger at someone, it's going to come a point where the finger gets pointed at you. And then what are you going to do then? Go, I didn't do it. Yeah, but remember when they didn't do it? Remember when they weren't to blame, but you said they were? Choose another foot now, and it doesn't fucking fit. Yeah. And that's why, like, there's loads of things that I could take, up a problem with. But then you look at the bigger picture and think, do you know what? Like, I've heard comments by people, like, up to school, and you're like, fuck me, that was an ignorant comment for a school run. Like, why are you talking like that in front of kids? Like, and I think to myself, do you know what? That person could be at home all day, scrolling social media, going in rabbit holes, being pulled all different directions, hearing hate all day. And it's like diet, but whatever you put in comes out.
Spitting it back out, yeah. Regurgitating shit that they've seen elsewhere.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lack of, and I don't want to say education as in across the board, people are thick, but I think there's a lack of education on all the problems we've discussed about schools, but people are being indoctrinated into like camps essentially, where there's this always about who can we blame next and who can we hate next. And
hate, yeah, definitely. Who can we hate next? Who we can hate next is a major part. Like, and I don't want to get into all the politics and stuff, but the left seem to want to jump onto whatever's popular to hate next. Yeah. And it's always there's always someone that always another group of people, always someone that they want to attack. For what? Do you know what I mean? What are you getting out of it apart from negative energy that's just going to affect your soul in the long run, because you're just draining yourself to the ground with negativity?
Because you see some people that seem like inherently miserable people.
Oh yeah.
And I think, why are you living unhappy? Why are you feeding yourself like bad feelings? Why would you want to gravitate towards negativity? Like, what are you getting out of it? And what I always used to call it was comfort in chaos. People, some people that are always like in rough situations. They're always in like, if somebody give you a name and went, oh, he's fucking banged up again, you're like, yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, or he's been in a fight again. Yeah, sounds about right. I wish he'd get his shit together, or she'd get her shit together. And there's a lot of complexities behind that. There's a lot of things that feed into that. But when you just see the surface problem, and then again, it's the flavour of the month, you start attacking. Yeah. At what point do you become flavour of the month? Because you've seen 100%. It, but you go left or you go right, and you're either too left or too right, or you're not left or right enough. So the next people go, you were the fucking problem. Yeah. You were sitting on the fence. And it's like, well, no, I'm not, because I agree with all these things here. And if, like, say, you're like maybe of a particular liberal mindset, and you go like one maybe like right wing like viewpoint, you were tossed over that side now. And if you were inherently right wing, or like maybe like conservative Republican thinking, and you got maybe like a left leaning liberal mindset on one thing, they go, fuck you, you're a liberal. And like, can we find a common ground on problems we're experiencing? Because when we look at it, whatever way you're fucking leaning, your pockets are still fucking hurting. Like, but at the same time, all the other thing that's hurting is in air, because you're fucking spitting hate all the time. And there's a lot to learn from lots of different people from either side of an argument, but that's where it starts, is listening to them. And sometimes it'll be a point where you listen to them and go, I don't think you're right on that argument or that point, but not being married to that enough to go, I'm going to argue with you over it, because it's more about being correct. Sometimes we get into a conversation with somebody and go, there's no amount of evidence that's ever going to change this person's mind. That's fine, but they cannot take that. It can be an opinion, it cannot become fact. There's a lot of facts in the world, like,
like Joe Biden has seen a video and he says, I want truth over facts. What the fuck are you on about?
But like, this, and again, but it's our language has changed so much, haven't it? Yeah. You think about people who once upon a time were saying about fake news, right? And it being like, that's fake, that's not real. And now somebody says fake news, you're almost going, what what is the source actually? Because if it's fake news, are you trying to distract me from something?
Yeah.
And then you go down a rabbit hole and go, fuck, it was fake all along. Like, it's like, you've got to almost become your own journalist to find out anything. Like.
And like this week, since Trump won, I've had a lot of fun. Just I mean, like, it's for my fishing rod, just reeling people in, just leaving silly little comments, and just all the left and the liberal just jumping on it, and it's been brilliant. But sometimes you can start spending too much time arguing with strangers on Facebook over things that don't really matter. You're never going to come to an agreement. No. Just leave it there. It's pointless even arguing about it.
And again, but it's what people got to remember is that it's like, if you lean in a particular way, or you're in the middle or whatever, right, is that you feel a particular way about something. If somebody feels about the opposite way about it than you, why is their opinion not matter?
Yeah.
But you do see, but there's bad actors online, like the amount of people that, like, I know, like you said, you were putting a fucking fish rod up and reeling them in, right? But they are the ones that are leaving themselves open to be picked off, right? And what I can't understand is why there's so many British people who will never impact politics. Like, there were no say in the American election, that have like zero involvement with British politics.
Yeah, there's a lot as well. There's a lot of people who haven't got a clue about British politics,
but they know everything about what's going on there.
American politics.
And again, it's normally from not looking into things themselves, but making judgment on whatever the news has told them. Like, I'll be really honest, I don't know much about fucking British politics at the moment. No. I know nothing about American politics. In my opinion, it's the same thing as when Barack Obama came in, when Trump had been in power, and then Biden came in, and now Trump again. Less trust whatever they voted for, right? That's their decision. Whatever happens in the next 4 or 5 years, right, let it pan out, right? Because
got no choice.
No, and the end
so
of the
what's
day,
the point of stressing about it? Because you may as well just let it pan out, because you're not going to have any impact on changing it.
No, and like, I'm not going to sit down and say I'm vehemently a Trump supporter. I don't support anyone. But what I will say is that a lot of good that he did do last time was ignored. And anything bad that happened was blown up to be... And I'm not talking about anything that he's done illegal, about things like anything moral-wise. I don't know enough about... I know he's been going through legal shit. I don't know anything about that. So I'm not judging him as a person. I don't know anything about him as a person. But when you look at... And it's not just him. But when you look at decision-makers that he put in place last time, where... Alright, there was tensions around the fucking North Korean thing, but what happened? It settled down. Like, you could only...
He pulled South and North Korea together and made them shake hands. And that's the first time, from what I've looked, it's the first time in history that anybody knows that them two countries have come together.
And look at the recent tensions between them. It's going to come again. He's going to have to intervene again, right? So, like anything, right? And then, if I don't even fucking know the woman's name. Kamala Harris, is it? Is that the woman who's... Again, I was so far away, I couldn't work out who the fuck was running at first. It was only when I seen the results I realised who the fuck what was going on. Because I don't watch any news. Again, with social media, like, there's so many fucking politicians online. You know, they all know the right answers. I just ignore most shit that's on there. Basically, go online for my group, message people, like, you know, we back and forth messages. I don't really look at news feeds that often, because everyone's a professional, everyone's an expert. And I'm not educated enough to know either fucking way, like, you know, and so when I'd realised who was running, I wasn't really sure how to say her name either, like, and like, it's this thing of, if she'd won, then you've just got to ride with it. You just go, whatever happens. But let's be honest, from a couple of people that I'm friends with from America, different parts of America, I mean, like typical blue state, typical red states from different parts. I can't ignore that these very, very different people from very different backgrounds are all saying they didn't want her in power. And it's off the basis of whatever Biden's been doing.
Whatever state, she's been vice president, so the fucking state that America is in now, Biden's got off on, he's in La La Land. He's playing with unicorns and fucking rainbows and I don't know what he's even up to. He can't even put a sentence together. He's shaking. Ever seen the video? He turns out to shake someone's hand, and there's no one there. He's like you with your auntie walking through the walls.
Maybe I can be friends with
And so they've been in power together. So the state the country's in now, she've had all the time in the world to solve what she's saying now that she's going to solve. You've had 4 years to solve it. Why are you now standing on stage saying, "Oh, I can solve this"? You fucking caused it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You've got to again judge people by their track record.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mean I'm not saying that. Again, I don't know much about any of them as people. Nobody knows them as people, but there's been a lot of violent, worrying things you hear about Trump, right? But now he's in, like you said, you've got to roll with it now.
Yeah.
And if he fucks up, then hold him to account. Whatever happens now, you've got to play by the rules. You've got to play by the same rules that you've been playing by, or the other side's been playing by for the past 4 years. So, whatever you're fucking doing, and at the end of the day, it's like we've had in this country, but we had 14 years of Tory ruling, and they voted a blue one out for a red one. You know,
we are at a point of no return. We are, aren't we? I don't think there's any comeback for us. We are fucked.
I think we either need to, as a society, grow a giant set of balls and overturn what the issue is, because we've rolled over and taken it. We have, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it comes back to my opinion of the communities need to have more compassion for each other, and when we start seeing each other on the same fucking page, we'll have strength in numbers again. At the moment, we're being divided and conquered, like within families. Like I
think the civil war in America, the last civil war they had, was over, I think, a 2% tax rise on tea.
Yeah.
And now look at us, we pay tax on everything. We get our wage, we taxed on it before we even receive it, right? So the government's put their hand in what you've worked for, which I don't even want to get into it because it makes me really angry. They dip you a hand, and if you work more, I'll take more off you.
Yeah.
So they dip in their hand in your wage, they're taking money. So then you go in, driving home in a tax car to your taxed house to go out to get shopping that's been taxed.
On fuel you've been taxed on.
Fuel you've been taxed on. And
the roads are taxed on, all that, like, you know, like.
It's just, how many times can you tax us over and over and over until people say, we've had enough?
Yeah.
Because you're not pumping money into our NHS, because you've been sending 12.8 billion, I think it is, to Ukraine.
Fucking hell.
We're spending 6 million a day on hotel bills for refugees who've come over here illegally. So why are we paying for all this when we're struggling? And my nan can't even get a hip operation. She paid all her life for tax.
And the thing is, again, like with people coming here as refugees, right? So like illegal immigrants and refugees, obviously being two different things, right?
Yeah.
But like, and either way, right? We haven't got a system in place to deal with them properly.
No.
But instead of putting a system in place, they're spending the money on just like maintaining the problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if they're fleeing a war-torn country, right? And they come in here, the government want to be all like, oh yeah, these things happen. Yeah, but you're fucking bombing them.
Yeah.
They haven't got a house because you fucking bombed this. And they're saying to you, thanks for blowing up my fucking house. Can I have one of yours? Like, and they going, well, we haven't got any. And then they saying, you know, they're not processing people properly. And, you know, there's X amount of money being spent on it. And I don't begrudge anything.
That's where our money's going. We're spending billions bombing other countries of issues that's nothing to do with us.
And then having to spend more money to deal with the problem that we've caused.
Yeah.
Whereas like
6 million a day.
You think how much less money we could be pumping into them countries and this is not about me saying keep in your own country. I'm not saying that. I mean, if we bomb and fuck out of your country, then we are responsible for what's happened to your family, in my opinion. And if somebody bombed our houses, we would want to flee our country. You know, I think the first thing I would want to do is fucking get out. Like, you know, it's like when Germany was bombing England, well, the first thing they do is send kids down to Wales. Like, get them all out of the country. They're refugees. Now, there's a system in place for that. It was a very quick fix. They're moving into their families' houses, and no solution's going to be perfect. But when the solutions can be more appropriate than they are now, and they're blowing millions a day, and they're not that bothered because they still cashing their checks again. They're having their subsidised meals and then their bars at the friggin' wherever it is in Parliament, all that shit. They're fucking hollering at each other through across the thing, and it's like I find like I'm not picking sides. To me, they fucking two heads of the same coin, right? They both shit, right?
Yeah. Oh, we haven't even got a good option, have we?
No.
We've just fucked.
Well,
we got no.
Like, you look at an option, right? I'm not going to pick a party, but you look at a party and go, okay, there's that.
Yeah.
There's always something that comes out. You go, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, I was going in, like I was joking at the last local elections we had leading up to, obviously, would feed into the national election, wouldn't it? And I had all of the leaflets come through the door on the same day, right? And I was laughing. You've got like Reform Tories, Labour, Plaid, Greens, Independents, and then there was the Communist Party, right?
Is there?
Yeah. And I looked at all of their things. I'm a reader, I'm fucking entertaining myself in it. And I jokingly said to one of the boys, it comes to something, right? You look at the fucking Communist Party, right? And they sound like they make the most sense. That's when you know politics is fucked, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're a fucking commie, eh? You're like, no, I'm just saying. Like, out of the options, they at least sound like they stringing a sentence together. Like, they not sound like they're just trying to fill me full of bump. I said, I've chucked them all in the bin. I said, I haven't got like time for, like, up in Aberdeen, so when it was Cannon Valley, before it became Merthyr Tydfil and whatever the fuck it is now, we had Beth Winter. Now, Beth Winter's very, like, socialist leaning, but very level-headed, very intelligent, very measured. Not like the stereotypical socialist you imagine. Did fucking wonders for us. I've spoke to her personally. I know her. She's done lots of my group, you know. She's been a real good fucking advocate for her community.
Yeah.
And then when it came down to, they changed the borders and all that, we've got Gerald Jones now. And I'll leave it at that because I wouldn't want to reshare my opinion, like. But I don't think that he's a patch on her, like. And we got to roll with what we got. But again, it's because it comes from further up the line, and then they get fucking whipped into making these decisions. And it's like
none of them really got any power because just.
And that's why
you're gonna go so far
like,
up to do anything.
Yeah, because like Beth now have stepped away from the Labour Party entirely because it does not represent what I joined for.
Yeah.
And obviously she lost her status as MP anyway because Gerald was voted by way of being the next sort of to cover our area. And I looked at his voting record and didn't agree with it, so won't be voting for you, simple as that.
Yeah.
So I just bought my ballot paper and I was like, if you can't vote for anyone, don't pick anyone.
Yeah,
you know, don't just put a fucking cross in any old box. Like, if Beth Winter was on there, I would trust her with whatever she tells me, she will try her best.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, I'm not stupid. I know that there's only so much that she can do as well, like, you know. But at least it felt like somebody was in your corner. But that's one person out of hundreds of MPs that are just cashing a check. And
the Houses of Parliament, they just ran full of people who haven't really got a job.
No.
They just cashing in checks because they're family members of someone or they know someone who knows someone. And they're all just in there laughing at us. Like, you know, like just fucking... We just had bonfire night now. I was joking about saying that we should be celebrating Guy Fawkes. And because if he had pulled off what he tried to pull off, I think things would have been a lot different to what they are now.
That story's taught in school about it. It's taught very much from Guy Fawkes is the bad guy, Parliament's the victims.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, you know, it's alright to blow people up. That's not what I'm saying at all. Like, you know, but I'm just thinking, like you said, if that came off, let's just say, right, say that Guy Fawkes blew up Parliament as it was, but nobody was in there. That's enough of a fucking message to go, oh shit, somebody needs fucking business. Like, and I'm not saying we need to get to that level, but we do need a fucking bit of a uprising, as we said, and stand up for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think especially in Wales, we've been mistreated like the fucking 8-inch stepchild, like, you know, we're like fucking treated like this, or like fucking Harry Potter or something. Like, we fucking just kept under the fucking stairs, like, stairs. Yeah, we're just like, you have the fucking crumbs if you're lucky, like, and it's like, no, like we're like, Wales is tiny in size, massive in fucking force, the people of Wales, in all their little communities, are fucking proud of their communities.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to remember we're part of a bigger thing called Wales. And it is hard to say you've got national pride, because that's linked to a lot of fucking negative connotations around the wording again. But like we haven't got a lot to be proud of in Wales at the moment, and we have got a lot to be proud of at the same time. And I think
everything we got to be proud of Wales is our history.
Yeah.
Currently, we haven't got much to be proud of.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But and I think there's ways through, like, there's pockets of things that people are doing that make each of the valleys unique, and not just the valleys, all different parts of Wales, like, unique and special for what it is. But something happens with this tribal thing happens across, like,
yeah,
you know, you go from, like, to West Wales. As soon as they catch on you from south, the attitude changes a little bit.
yeah.
There's a bit of a, like...
Especially north.
Oh, even worse.
If you're not a Welsh speaker and you're going up to North Wales...
You're not Welsh, like.
No,
You
yeah.
know, it's like... And I get it to an extent, but let's get past that. There's a reason why a lot of us don't speak Welsh. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a hard language to learn, like, and it's difficult to learn when you think about going through school. If you've already struggled with it in school or struggled with school, trying to learn anything later in life is that thing of, like, learning is a challenge, like, you know? Like, through work now, there's an incentive to learn Welsh. Part of me is like, I'd love to learn it. And the part of me struggling because it's the thought of, like, how much I struggled in school with it. And it was like, yeah, because I was struggling with everything in school, but nobody realised they were struggling. He was like, he's fucking about, like,
yeah,
you know, he's thick, man, that's all it is. He's just fucking even be, you know, and or you're being lazy. That was the other thing. You're either thick or you're lazy.
Yeah.
And I got called both, like, and then you start becoming lazy, which then results in you being thick, you know. And then as you get older and you realise how much you like to learn, you realise I was never thick or lazy.
Yeah.
I just never had the opportunity to learn in the right way.
As soon as I left school, I was thriving to learn about stuff. But it was stuff that I wanted to learn about. Do you know what I mean? Not some indoctrinated shit like you learn about the Battle of Hastings, 1066. My parents were learning about that when they were in school. Why is it all the same subjects? Do you know what I mean? And I think it was Darwin was there. He said, if you judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree, you'll believe his whole life that he's stupid.
Yeah, it's fucking right though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because every child, like we said earlier on, every child is different. So we put them into school and expect them all to be interested in all these same subjects, which none of the subjects really mean anything to outside of the school life.
Yeah. I know that you know yourself, but how much of a stark reality is it when you go from school or college, uni, to work?
Oh, it's a hell of a difference.
And the people who are above you, like, as in, you know, your peers, forget that because they're now indoctrinated into work life. And it's like, well, you must have gone through this adjustment. Again, when you think about mining community, fuck me, there was no whiplash like that.
No.
You're in school one minute, you're down to fucking mining the next, you figured it out, but...
Most of them were in the mines while they were still in school, didn't they?
Yeah. Like my old man said, like he was pulled out of school to go down the mine as soon as he was old enough.
Yeah.
Like there was no future options. It was, I've signed you up on 2 different pits. Whatever goes first, you're down here, like. And he said he was just got on with it. You had no fucking choice.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a mentality difference around like we're losing the balance. We've either gone through the fully indoctrinated in you're going to be worker, you know what I mean, like you're all going to be fucking worker ants, you're all going to follow the book, or everyone's special and everyone's got their own unique thing and you go and be you're entitled, and neither of them are fucking true. Like there's a middle ground where you're special enough for you're fucking born. Think about the concept of fucking life. Like you're on this fucking planet.
The chances of just us being here is just outrageous.
Like my buddy always says, like I say, like, you know, I text him every now and again, just say like, fucking own the day, like, whatever it is that comes your way, own the fucking day. And, you know, make yourself accountable for all your actions that day, innit? You fucking own it. It's your day. Yeah. You decide what fucking happens today. And I asked him, you know, now and again, how's your day been? I woke up. That's the first thing. I woke up. That's the measuring stick for the day. I woke up. What more do I want?
Yeah.
Everything else is a bonus.
Be grateful.
And I think that too many people are back to the influencer thing and looking for that I haven't got a thing that makes me special, so I'm not worthy. I'm not worth anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you see like the fucking, and I hate to just pull names, but like the Logan Pauls, Jake Pauls things, and you got guys online like PewDiePie and shit like that have made their success from being just in front of a camera.
Well, they actually made their success,
Disney,
to my knowledge, on YouTube through going through a forest which was known for suicides, and recording a man who's hanging from a tree in this forest, and
It's
that's
Japan,
kind of
isn't
what
it?
it might be, yeah. That's kind of what blew him up to being famous. So they've made their fame really on another man's life being taken because he couldn't live no more.
And you think about
when you put that into perspective,
and you
what
think
kind of
about the
morals you have
influence
to
they
live by that?
Yeah. Like, okay, you know, we all fucking learn lessons and things like that, but have they learned the lesson?
No.
Because, or like, if I fucking know who they are, then they're fucking doing something right. It's like, you know, like my missus watching something and I'd be saying like, what the fuck is that? Like, she's doing my tits in, or he's doing my tits in. Like, oh, I saw so-and-so, they're a singer or they're an actor. I'm like, who? Who the fuck are they? Like, you know? And again, then it's about not being that judgmental prick. Like, but sometimes they catch you off guard. Like, this person's fucking driving me nuts. Like, and they go, oh, like he or she's a fucking really famous person. Like, I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? And she's like, how the fuck do you not know that? Like, it's like, because I don't subscribe to the mainstream. Like, I just haven't got the energy for extra people. Like, you know, extra knowledgeable people. So when you go like the likes of these celebrity boxing matches, that punctures through so much of society that even I heard about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you think about if that fame has come off the back of that, and you know, I'm obviously going to be sensitive to that subject anyway, but like, it's worrying. Like, you know, when you think about, it don't take long for a kid you've influenced to search your name and then that shit comes up.
Yeah.
And then now they've witnessed what you've seen, and I'm assuming that has been wiped off the internet, but you know yourself, but something goes up and it's fucking there, like, it's up permanently. So, and you think about the influence they're having through, like, I think it's the same guy, through the Prime drinks and that with that other guy. And I know they're doing like some snack box thing. I watched a video recently, they're doing like the dairy like Lunchables thing. They're doing like a spin-off version of that.
Yeah.
So they're doing like their own version of it. And they like, you know, saying they got X amount of this stuff in there, that stuff in there, it's really good for you. Like, all of this stuff is crap. But then this guy broke down what was in the thing, and he's like, that's fucking way worse for you. Like, way worse for you. There's empty calories. Like, I know that's great for you, but like, they ain't pretending to be healthy. Like, this is pretending to be healthy. And they tout, and it's like, oh, there's a bottle of Prime in it. It's like, who fucking tasted it? It's awful.
Yeah, like. Terrible. I bought one not long ago because the curiosity just got the most of me, right?
I couldn't believe it.
So I bought the energy drink one, and it was terrible. It was awful. And I don't know why after I bought it, I thought, why the fuck did I fall into buying that?
Do you think I'm mugged, didn't it, when you bought it? I felt like a knob. I'm like,
I waited for it to come down in price, man. I paid about £2 for it because they were selling for like £100 and stuff when I bought it.
Fucking hell, like.
So before we finish up, do you got a message for anybody who may be involved with what you were doing?
I just say just like as cheesy as it is, like just speak up, like speak to people, find that person that you can speak to, and if you think ever that you're on your own, just find us, like, man or woman. It may be called Let's Talk Men's Mental Health. Contact us, because I'll find the people that you need to speak to. It's not about we just help men. That is our primary target, of course. Contact us, offload what you need to offload, but just speak to somebody, even if it is your healthcare provider, like a GP or something like that. Speak to your dentist if you've got concerns. Like, there are people there that have safeguarding responsibilities to you. Find someone, and sometimes it can be easier to speak to a stranger because you don't know that person or anything. They haven't got any reliance on you. So it may be that you can't speak to your partner or, I don't know, your mother or your father or your best friends about something in particular, because there's that thing, that relationship there that you don't want to seem like weak. And it's far from weak. It takes a hell of a lot more strength to speak up about your problems than to bottle it up, you know. It's that bottling up period can only last for so long before it pours out. So yeah, just fucking speak out. Just reach out to somebody. There's lots of services out there.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us on Facebook under Let's Talk Men's Mental Health, or you can visit our website, which is the initials ltmmh.org.uk. And again, contact us through there. Just send us a message. Again, we're volunteer-led, so we'll try to get back to you as quick as possible, but realistic is, if it's an emergency, don't contact us for that. You need to get urgent support.
Yeah.
And the services out there for urgent support, like dialing 111 and using the, one for physical health, 2 for mental health. There'll be professionals on the other end of that line as well, that if it's urgent and it's the middle of the night and you need a response now, but it's not emergency levels, just dial it, phone them. Phone Samaritans on 116 123. Speak to somebody, just start a conversation. And if you're on the other end of it, hearing it from someone, take a second, just listen to what they're saying. And even though it's really fucking heavy, just think for a second, just get that person to somewhere safe. That is the only responsibility you have, is get them somewhere safe, that whoever that is, it could be a family member of theirs, or you could be the family member. You don't need to fix that person, you don't need to save that person, other than find them the support. And like I said, like I keep saying, lead with compassion, be compassionate. Just think twice before you judge people, because there'll be one day where you're on the fucking receiving end of shit and you'll have no one to turn to then. You've burnt every fucking bridge,
Right, Shaun, thank you very much for joining us, Pat. It's been amazing to chat to you. This episode is sponsored by Gents of Brooklyn, UK. If you're in the area of Cardiff and you want your haircut to be treated like a gentleman and come out looking fresh, hit them up. The socials I will tag. And thank you very much to Shaun and everything he does for myself as well. Shaun supported me in everything I always do. These are the leaflets. Anything you need, don't hesitate to contact Shaun. And thank you all for watching.